Hello and welcome to this documentary. I'm Rob.Berni, or you may also know me as Rob or Cinematic Venom, and I'm going to take you through the last 9 years of my life, attempting to get the feature film Ready to Stumble produced. You will see exclusive behind the scenes footage, scenes that were actually shot and edited for the movie, and the full story, no censorship, of why exactly this movie has still yet to be taken off the ground, as well as directly addressing allegations about working with myself. Buckle up.
I worked on the Ready to Stumble film.
So my first experience of Ready to Stumble,
I was involved with the project pretty early on.
I was initially introduced to the project.
Hi, I'm Luke and I've known Rob.Berni since 2007.
I first became aware of the project.
I was involved in Ready to Stumble.
Was a part of the original.
Don't quite know what to do anymore. But first, I think we need to just rewind the clock. September the 2nd, 2015. You know, it's weird how this whole thing started, because it started as, like most people do, just being influenced by other people online who did videos, like actual filmmaking. You know, I've got no qualifications, got no experience with filmmaking. I was just talking to a camera. And then I know that on Halloween in 2011, I put together a short comedy sketch. It was my first attempt at acting, and I even asked my wife at the time to leave the flat so I could film it. And it was really nerve-wracking, and I couldn't see what I was... and I didn't even do second takes, so half the time I'm not even in the frame correctly. But when I watched it back, at the time, I was, 20 years old. I was really kind of engrossed in the way that all of the shots tied together. Like seeing the shots that I set up myself all coming together. There was no tripod or anything. It was something that really interested me, and I wanted to do more of that.
It was a really fun process that I got involved with through working with Rob. A long time, honestly, before the movie came out in different ways, through prank calls that we would used to do, and then also being a part of the Sarcastic Venom series of movie reviews. Honestly, one of my favorite moments of just being on YouTube in general with Rob was that Avatar review that we did. So much fun. Painted myself blue for it and walked around in public as an Avatar cat person for that movie review. I'll never forget that. That was absolutely hilarious. We became friends years before that too as well, through a mutual friend, Steve, who was also a part of the first movie on this things as the Joker. Just seeing how Rob was able to do a lot of his own stuff in-house, whatever he was doing, how he was able to make his connections. From an outsider's perspective, just looking in, even without asking him about it was just very, very cool to see. So I give him credit for that for sure, as far as like being a person who inspires creativity with others. I think that's what makes him a great director. I think that's what makes him just a great organizer of people in general when it comes to that kind of stuff.
This was also when the Channel Awesome production Suburban Nights came out, and that did take a huge part in at least my inspiration to do this. But I didn't know what I was doing. I was overly ambitious, and because this other company was producing a movie every single year on a low budget, I thought, how hard can it be? With the first movie, like, everything was constantly changing to the point that we weren't even playing the characters we were originally supposed to be. Originally, I was Two-Face. Jimmy from Jim the Movie Geek, he was the Riddler. Luke was actually Robin. I think Howard only had a cameo as Mr. Freeze. Craig was simply Batman. But people dropped out, weren't interested, so everything kind of got switched up.
The reason the first movie started to fail is that we planned out all the shots for about 6 or 7 months straight. I had a shot list, believe it or not. I had a director of photography, if you want to use those terms loosely, and we planned for months and months and months, and then literally the night before, that director of photography backed out at the last minute, and his partner was also supposed to be one of the members of the main cast. and we didn't have much time to prepare or find an alternative. When I made the first film, I don't even think I had a tripod, so we were desperately passing the camera around. And this is it. This is where the majority of the first movie was filmed. Apologies for the echo. As you can see, I've since moved out, so it's completely empty. But this is where it started. The movie began being filmed in sequence, so all of the first shots in the movie were done in this room, and cramming that many actors into one small space wasn't easy.
Bear in mind that the likes of Kikassia was shot across 4 days of non-stop filming. I was completely under the impression that I could shoot the entirety of The Dark Knight Stumbles in a single day.
It was ignorance, I guess a slight bit of arrogance when I thought I was Channel Awesome. We didn't really think, you know, we wanted to make a movie. We didn't know how difficult it was, and it was a lot harder than we ever thought it would be.
It was such a fun time, but there was also hard work that went into it, and clearly a lot of motivation. I remember like the rehearsals that we used to do, the Skype rehearsals that we had originally for it, and the scenes that were shot, all of it being a combination of thoughtfulness and like self-awareness, but then also it was very off the cuff, and there was a lot of improv that went into it as well that made it so much more fun and special in its own way.
But we then planned a second filming day a couple of months later, and people again backed out at the last minute. Other people couldn't come back from the first shoot. It was then the case of Craig stepping in and playing multiple characters at the same time, which I hated at the idea, but I thought he made it work. So with these people constantly letting the production down, but we couldn't go back and reshoot everything, we had no choice, I felt like, at that time. So this would be where I shot the very meaningful scene at the end of the first movie, where Sean, Cinematic Excrement, rips me a new one. I actually wrote that in a completely different location with completely different dialogue, and I thought it wasn't mean enough, so I guess this was masochistic. I just wanted to vent about my own issues. Again, this film was therapy for me, and the sequel even more so. It was in this field where the idea of the movie came about. Me and Alex had this, it's our brainchild really, and together we decided to come up with this. This was where a good chunk of the film took place, which looks a lot different now. They put a lot more equipment in now. When we filmed it, there was a lot of people who were just kind of came over and started watching us film. And even they had a blast watching a bunch of idiots running around in silly costumes. So it was at this point, it was like, this is impossible to get this many people together at the same time in the same location. So we started making fun of continuity, and it seemed like a good idea at the time, but it can work. But it wasn't even produced properly.
You know, this isn't about the first film, but the production was already bad even before people didn't show up. I did bare minimal prep work. The movie, it has no story arcs, there's no structure in the script. Yes, there actually was a script. I did plan out a whole shot list. I was trying to do it properly, but I can't blame anyone else. Like, people did, like, no-show the shoots, but there was no proper structure. There was nothing. It was just inspired from the Channel Awesome movies. Like, there were clips where I was just doing running jokes that nobody else would get other than me, but I found it funny at the time, so I didn't really care. I mean, you can just see looking at it. There was no tripod. Our lighting was a desk lamp on a chair. The camera work was shoddy. Like, the best directed scenes were from Howard Billington, who played Two-Face.
Hey guys, how'd you like our lighting? We're trying desperately. Do you remember in the first film it was just Luke with a desk lamp on a chair? Look how far we've come.
It was just a mess. I was a very disorganized director. I even use that term loosely. It was a colossal mess.
The first film cost us about $2,000, and it looked like that.
But that doesn't take away how much fun we had, honestly.
I think what we did with that movie, Dark Knight Stumbles, just was something I'll never forget, just in the same way of my Avatar review. Even the kind of minute involvement there might be at times with the Bane character, or even like ideas, because I know that I wasn't like the biggest contributor. I'm not necessarily the largest writer in that sense. I'm an ideas person, and I chime in with things and throw things at the wall with Rob.
I know it looked like just a bunch of twats running around with a camera, which I guess effectively it was. To us, it was like the collaboration of all collaborations. All of us getting together in one place and making this huge thing.
I'd just like to clarify that the film was loads of fun to make. It was some of the most fun I've ever had in my life. And everyone who helped make it, thank you.
I think I was actually proud of the movie for about a year before I realised just how horrendous it really was. I mean, I get a better camera during the end of the production, and you can tell because there's a scene when I'm at my computer that even though I didn't bother to clean up my desk, it's shot and edited a lot better than the rest of the production. I think at that point I just wanted to just get it out because I was sick of looking at the same scenes over and over again. All of us collectively, me, Steve, who was the Joker, Alex, who was Bane, Sean, who was God, like, we all wanted to do a second movie.
Hi, I'm Luke Kane. I've known Rob.Berni since 2007 when we were both YouTubers reviewing wrestling, so I know how much like Ready to Stumbles and the very earlier drafts of Dark Knight Stumbles mean to Rob.Berni, and how maturing the writers and why it's taken a while, and I know that they want to give people who are supporters of cinematic venom and probably even seeking answers, give them a good film in the future as well. So I think that's why there's a lot of script changes, and I know that they will probably have got a good script ready now, ready to start in the next few years.
I was involved with the project pretty early on when it was still in the planning stages. Rob came to me and mentioned he was interested in doing a sequel to The Dark Knight Stumbles, and I remember liking the title he came up with, Ready to Stumble.
So my first experience of Ready to Stumble, I didn't really know what Rob was doing, really, because I was only in the first film as a cameo with my pants down. That was my involvement. Like, I wasn't a part of like the actual cast doing the superhero fights and all that. I was just in it. I don't know why I was selected for that, but I was selected to be walked in on whilst wearing boxers. That's what I was selected for. It sounds like a joke, but genuinely true. That was my involvement.
So Jimmy was supposed to be the Riddler in the first movie, but he backed out for personal reasons, and he said that he always regretted it. Maybe it's because his only role in the movie is now him lying in bed in his pants. But he always wanted to be part of a big project like that. So he said he always regretted it. So when I was coming up with this idea for this sequel, I went to Jimmy and I said, well, would you like a role in this? This is the idea I have. And he really liked it, and I brought him on board.
And I got involved because Rob is a very good friend of mine. I've always known, I've known from the start that he's wanted to make a movie. Obviously, he made that first film, which he wasn't necessarily happy with. And then since then, it's been that journey to make this second film. So my involvement with Rob with this project, I've just seen his refusal to give up, like, with all of these setbacks. And, I do think that's quite admirable, because I probably would have given up or taken another route, but he's just determined to make this project.
This was always a very personal project for me, not necessarily trying to redeem myself for how bad the first movie was. I knew that we could do better. I knew that we could do an actual film.
When it came to Rob initially pitching me the idea for the script, I was actually very intrigued, but more from the personal side of things. So the fact that this had been something where there'd been a previous film, and it was something that, had unfinished business, and there was like a, small but devoted sort of fan base that really would have loved to see a sequel.
If, imagine, there is some poor fool who has watched the original and has been dying and waiting for this sequel, and then they want to see, 10 years have passed.
This, I wanted to not be like that, but as time went along, it began going down the same path.
And that itself, kind of that passion that, Rob had for it, is what really, allured me to the project and got me to agree to it in the first place. That, and obviously the fact that I thought, oh yeah, this is, I know people, Rob knows people, what could possibly go wrong? In and out, clean, Who?
I categorically refused to do a sequel unless Bane and Joker were on board. Their scenes in the first movie are entirely pointless. Like, they don't connect to anything. We knew that Steve did a fantastic Heath Ledger impression. We knew that Alex's Bane was so ridiculous but so funny. We wanted them in it, but we couldn't find a way to tie them together. But we knew that there was something there that we could do.
He puts in so much time and effort into what goes on, not just with his own characters, but with the other characters he's writing for. It shows that there's a level of care and concern that I'm very excited for with this new project.
He ran a few ideas by me and said the basic idea was there was going to be two different stories going on at once. One would take place in America with the American crew, and one would take place in the UK with the British crew.
At one point, I did want to do a movie every year like Channel Awesome were doing, and it just wasn't feasible. We wanted to do a Harry Potter spoof at one point, and then the very, very original idea for Ready to Stumble, which is always the title has never changed in 9 years, was that it was going to be a parody of Rat Race. It was going to involve a John Cleese-like character, basically grabbing all of these people who were involved in the first movie and granting the winner of a race ownership of cinematic venom. The whole joke was that we were all risking our lives travelling across the country just for a YouTube channel, which at the time had about 500 subscribers.
So with this one, Rob was talking about doing an actual movie, actually taking his time with it and actually trying to make something genuinely good in a filmmaking sense. So, and I was asked to be a character, and I thought, it sounds fun because I'm actually going to be involved in some acting, in some fight scenes. We were working with a proper director.
People liked the idea. We actually started writing it. It was a bit of a challenge because how do you do it when me and the Americans aren't physically in the same room? So we were trying to mess around with like camera angles. Maybe that could be possible. As this idea was going along, we hit the first brick wall, which was people not coming back.
When we started working on the sequel, it did have a lot of the same issues. Unfortunately, as the production of the sequel came along, the more and more people from the first movie began to drop out. But I was determined to kind of make up for how bad the first film was. I wanted to do it right. Craig decided that he didn't really want to be on the internet anymore on a public capacity.
I'm still in touch with him. We're still good friends. We talk almost every day. But he wanted to distance himself from the internet, so he decided not to reprise his role, which I know is a massive shame because I do think that any time the production of the first movie was about to completely collapse, Craig stepped in, and even though it was like a doomed production, Craig fighting himself somehow made it somewhat redeemable. I've tried, guys. I've tried to convince Craig to come back. It's not happening. I'm sorry.
John just wasn't even able to come back for a second filming day at all. Danny was another one who just kind of wanted to take a step back.
So that's why halfway through the first movie, I took over as both Riddler and Batman with no acknowledgement whatsoever. Howard Billington, who played Two-Face, now lives in Japan, so he wasn't available. There was a moment where, as the script and the story was expanding, Howard actually did start filming scenes in Japan where he was kind of going on this crusade to find this ancient relic of some kind.
How's this for a fucking location, Rob? Hope I get some good shots, Rob. Hope the scenes all look good. I hope that I don't die in the blizzard, but I get some nice fucking scenes, Rob. Suffer for the art, they say. Suffer for the fucking art.
The production just kept lingering in hell for years, so it never materialised. That was on me.
It was getting smaller and smaller as the production went along.
And even Ash was Poison Ivy. She had since, her and I had split up and she was back in America.
It seemed like I was the only one massively reprising the role, as well as Sean, Alex and Steve for a while.
More of a reason was because my situation has changed vastly since Dark Knight Stumbles came out in regards to friends who can contribute.
Seriously?
Yep.
It's just us.
Yep.
There's no one else left?
Nope.
Man, you need more friends.
This movie, in a way, is a way for me to take me back to that time when I had all those people. I would love for all of them to come back, but it's not possible. We knew we couldn't make a direct sequel. We had to do something similar to like Return to Oz, where it could be a sequel, but you didn't have to have seen the first one. Something like, as bad as it is, Lost Boys 2. You don't have to have seen the first movie to understand it. That's kind of where this one looked like it was heading, because not a lot of characters or not a lot of actors were coming back to reprise their roles.
Now, the idea was I wanted people to like immediately know that if they have seen the original, this is nothing like it. We know what we're doing now, kind of. Yeah, we want them to know straight away this isn't like the first film, but also you don't know what to expect, because originally in this opening scene, Batman was actually going to die.
Yeah,
I was going to have Riddler like stab him or something, and then he takes his mask off, and as his mask comes off, bats fly out in this opening credits.
We didn't get a script finished until 2018. So Danny and Luke, Danny being Batgirl, Luke being Adam West, were okay to come back. Originally, Luke was going to have a much more prominent role, but as time went along, he advised that he could only have a minor role. He would only be available for about a day for a cameo, and eventually the same happened with Danny.
I was sort of more heavily involved with Dark Knight Stumbles being like the Adam West 60s Batman, and with Ready to Stumbles I only saw like a very earlier scripts and stuff that I was going to involve, like scenes I was going to shoot, so that's all I know really with Ready to Stumbles, like was only the scenes I did in the early original scripts.
As the cast started to diminish, we came up with a new idea, and this idea was a lot more ridiculous than the first movie, which is what I wanted. This led to the film being Bane and Joker parodying Bill and Ted, and they were going to come back from the future and inform them that they were going to, I can't even remember, they were going to become, I think it was that cinematic venom was going to cause them to separate, and that would end the world, or something ridiculous like that.
Joker and Bane were trying to find Rob, and they end up kidnapping me because I just happen to look a lot like God from the original movie, and they assume I am actually God from The Dark Knight Stumbles, and since I have some sort of connection to Rob from that movie, I can somehow lead them to him. And, of course, this plan ends up going awry because it turns out I was God the whole time. I was just pretending to be Sean. Who knew?
That was all Alex. That was Bane. That was his idea, and it was just so ridiculous. I loved it.
I still tried to, at points in time, put myself out there in that way of trying to add something, give some type of curveball, because that's really what I try and go for. I like to try and add something that flips things on its head. Rob definitely can testify to this. I'll give some very weird ideas for stuff. And they just come to me.
Why exactly they would have thought they could successfully kidnap me and make me do their bidding, if I really was God, I don't really know. But hey, Joker and Bane had a plan. No one ever said it was a good plan.
Joker, you mean to tell me that you seriously believe you are capable of capturing an ancient deity responsible for creating the entire universe and all of its inhabitants?
The whole film was going to be them doing silly torture techniques on Sean.
With the Bill and Ted thing, we were even considering doing a time travel thing where
we revisit scenes of the original film. I think it was just a lazy way to get around, not Back to the Future 2 style it. I don't know.
This park wasn't actually here when we filmed the first film. This could prove a problem in continuity, because I don't want to give too much away, but we're dealing with time travel, so we're just going to have to make do with what we have and be creative with camera shots. Danny, I'm looking at you, director of photography.
It was around this time that the Cinematic Mind was actually invited on. At one point, I'd asked him to be Robin or Nightwing. I also really wanted him to play like an even more exaggerated version of Jared Leto's Joker, based on how crazy he was in our crossovers. I thought he would have absolutely nailed that. And because he actually has a background in filmmaking, I'd asked him to become director. I realized directing really isn't for me. I'll hand over the reins. Nothing with that ever actually materialized. Nothing was shot with Danny. I can't really remember. I think it was just the distance. He lived in Crawley and I'm in Northampton, but yeah, it just never materialized.
If I'm honest, I can't massively remember what the UK's plot was at that point. I know that The Flash was involved at some point, and I was always going to reprise myself as the Riddler. So yeah, there's two Riddlers. One is in hallucinating.
Right.
So yeah. The ones from the previous movie is basically Jim Carrey. Spandex, the mask.
You've got that down, have you?
And a ginger wig, right?
Yeah.
The new one, I want to be more serious. From like the games I'm basing it on, really, or Gotham, if you've ever watched Gotham.
Yes.
So I ordered the suit. Don't really know what to do. I thought, I always shave my head bald, and I thought I could go for a Lex Luthor look.
So for the past year and a half, since Dark Knight Stumbles has came out, there's been numerous script ideas and script outlines.
The American shoot, we don't know when that's going to happen because we don't have the money at the minute to fly everybody together.
The issue was, how do you get the American cast all together in one place? You know, the UK is one issue, but you know, it was manageable. And during the production, I did learn to drive, which made it a hell of a lot easier. But you know, you got Sean and Lowly in California, Alex is in Florida, Steve's in New Jersey. That's a lot of money.
It was put on the shelf several times for different reasons, a lack of motivation, or just finding a plot that we were all happy with. Because although Steve Medashevsky and I are the main writers, I'm kind of letting a lot of people have input.
Well, I think that's what I think the opening intro should be.
Okay.
Shit.
Just holding back spatial.
Alt F4. This movie took 3 years just to get a coherent screenplay. I'm very happy with the script, and I really believe this is going to be a really well-made comedy film.
I can now tell you that filming of the sequel, which by the way is called Ready to Stumble, will begin on April the 8th, 2018.
Originally, the new ending was actually going to be me waking up in America, being held captive by Bane and Joker. So we're actually going to film together in the same room.
It's going to start when I'm actually going to be in America next year, in New Orleans, Louisiana, filming. I'm going there for personal, not business, but while I'm over there with Alex and Steve, I figured, man, I get to film scenes with them, and I've known them almost. I've known Steve 10 years and Alex almost the same, so it's my first time meeting them in person. So you bet your ass I'm going to vlog, by the way, but I'm also definitely not going to miss out on an opportunity to have scenes with them in this film.
That changed, and as I was brainstorming more ideas, I was looking at prices of flights, and I thought, actually, it's not that expensive. I might be able to go to America to film, be in the whole third act. The plan was, it's a superhero movie, it's going to end with a big battle climax. I can go over there, film some stuff here, then film some stuff there. I'm on both sides and then slice them together, and hopefully no one will notice except you nitpickers. I think this was around the time I was due to go to WrestleMania, and then it just, my visa or whatever wasn't accepted. Pricks.
I was first invited onto the project in February of that year, I think it was.
I first became aware of the project in, I want to say, 2017, 2018, whenever Rob first announced it. We weren't friends at the time, I was just a subscriber to his channel. And he mentioned that he was making a sequel to a movie that he had produced a few years before called The Dark Knight Stumbles. And I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. So I watched the original movie, and it's shit. I'm sorry, Rob, there's no other way of putting it. It's a disaster.
Horrifically bad. It is shown in prison to serial killers to show no matter how bad the crime is that you've committed, at least you didn't make The Dark Knight Stumbles. It is horrendous.
Certain people joined, a guy called Josh, Naomi, Sanders was also involved.
It's me, my friend Naomi from the Naomi Sanders channel, and my friend Joshua Bell, who comments on my videos every day. It's like he has to check it off his daily rota of things to do.
I thought the idea of making a sequel, knowing what he knows about filmmaking, having watched and reviewed all these movies, was a really interesting prospect.
Rob promised me it would be a lot of fun. In the original draft, I was gonna play The Flash. I remember reading the script, feeling like a little excited to volunteer in this.
A lot of independent films ask for like 200 grand. We just want 5, and we're running out of time. As I'm recording this, we only have about 3 weeks to raise the money.
We did a GoFundMe and we managed to raise over £700, which was nuts, because at this point, like, the first movie came out when we had 500 subscribers. At this point, I think I had about 2,000. But realistically, I didn't think anyone cared about the movie. We were just making it because we wanted to make it.
And this is, for us, really, Cinematic Venom's dead. Like, no one cares about Cinematic Venom. This is a sequel that we want to make. Dark Knight Stumbles was trash, and I feel like we can amend it. You know, we can avenge it.
The original idea was I was going to have this script, raise the cash, and if you wanted to be in it, we'd fly you to one of the 2 locations to have you in the movie. We can't do that because we haven't got the money.
We put a lot of money into the first movie and none of us saw a penny back because I couldn't even monetize the channel then.
I just want to take the time out to thank everyone who keeps this show going. You know, as you know, if you follow me on social media, the past few weeks have not been easy for me, and I'm not trying to do this a sympathy thing or anything, but you guys, I know it's a cliche, but you know, for someone who doesn't have many local friends, you know, most of my friends are elsewhere around the world, so in person I have one friend I see, and so when I tweet you guys and trying to interact with you as much as possible, that's the extent of my interaction. So it means the world to me.
And we thought the same thing here. We're going to put a lot of money into this film and no one's really going to care and we're not going to get any cash back from it. That didn't really bother me or anyone really. No one really cared. We were making it because we wanted to. We didn't think it would get many views. So for people to donate over £700, that's ridiculous. We started Skype rehearsals, which was a lot of fun. I was very open as well. Josh came in as the Flash, and at that point, like I say, about May or June 2018, I didn't know, there wasn't a Flash movie, I didn't watch the show, I didn't know anything really about the character other than he's really fast. So I allowed Josh to kind of branch out and write some of the screenplay to give himself this backstory.
I really enjoyed the script reading session that I did with Sean and Rob and a few other people. And I was even allowed to improvise some parts I remembered in that script reading. It was done on Skype.
I remember we were doing a cast reading over Skype back when, again, Alex was still planning to return as Bane. And there was supposed to be this running gag throughout the movie where Joker would keep saying various lines on the "you want to know how I got these scars" line. Like, for example, we would be in a Circle K parking lot. Strange things were afoot. And Joker looks out over the parking lot and says, "I want to know how they got these cars." And I remember when Steve first said that line, Alex just lost it, which Rob was very happy about because that was exactly the reaction he was going for.
That was me. Those bad puns were me.
As far as the new changes that have gone on for it, the rewrites, anything in that, I've been very interested at the tones that are being taken, the tonal shifts that are being taken with this new one, and also to the level of I'd say, creativity and shots that are going to end up happening just based on the new experience that Rob has as the director, and I think, overall experience that everybody is going to be bringing to the table with this new project.
I was booted off the project back in like August, and that's a whole can of worms.
At this point, I was still really disorganized in regards to the chat that we had about the movie.
I remember the group chat that I was on with them with Facebook Messenger. They just kept posting like hundreds of messages, hundreds of memes a day, meaning that like any important notifications about the film, like any messages about, oh, we're going to be doing auditions today, we're going to be doing rehearsals today, they just get buried under so much shit.
Yeah, there was no structure, really. And at the time I didn't realise I was neurodivergent, so I get really passionate and hyper-focused and slightly bipolar, and I changed my mind a lot, so the script would constantly change, and that is on me. It happened with the first movie, and it was happening with this one. But eventually, we had a script I was happy with. We were rehearsing it on Skype.
I remember posting a message where I was like, I was a bit strong, but I was just like, please, can you stop doing this? And I think I said a swear word as well. I wish I phrased that a lot better, but there was a kernel of truth in it. And I was kicked out of that group chat, and Rob removed me from the project about a week later.
Josh was a bit of an issue. We were aiming to film it in the summer of 2019.
I've booked off 3 weeks in August 2019. Not all of those 3 weeks are going to be spent filming this movie. I do plan on going on holiday with my girlfriend and kids as well at some point, but I truly believe we can film it all in about a week and a half.
But Josh wasn't 100% sure if he could commit. He said he might be able to, and you can't have everyone travel on a maybe, and you can't write 2 screenplays just in case someone doesn't show up because of what happened last time.
I don't think it was ever really going to work out because like I told Rob like a year in advance that there were some complications in my life, in my university life particularly, which meant that my future for the next year looked very unpredictable.
So unfortunately, Josh parted ways from the project, which was a shame.
Would have been nice if I could have appealed, and because there was still a chance that I could have done it. I mean, I wouldn't have known at that point in time.
So I planned on getting Naomi, Josh, and Danny from the Cinematic Mind, who's actually directing. I'm handing over the directing duties to Danny for the UK shoots and Sean for the American shoots.
Back then, I was just a toxic asshole. I think as I started to get views, it kind of went to my head and I was a prick and thought people weren't worthy of being in the same space as me. And yeah, I was just a very difficult person to work with.
He seemed a bit hard to negotiate with at that point, but no, I don't hold anything against him now, and I'm glad he's had a real growth in character, really fought and made really thoughtful decisions about him, his friends, and his channel over the last 6 years or so. So, yeah, I forgive you, Rob.
I wasn't the best person to work with. I've learnt from those mistakes. I've had a lot of good feedback now about working with me.
Like, ever since the shoot today, we have not stopped talking about how amazing it felt and how good it was and how productive it was and how, like, it just worked really well. Like, the vibe and everything was just a really perfect combination. And, like, we've worked with quite a lot of people before and it's never been quite as fun and good as today was, and it really did just genuinely feel like we were just hanging out and doing our hobby, but doing it really well. And it just happened. We all just got stuck in. We all just did different things and did it. So, and we've been talking since, like, how amazing it would be to work with you again.
You're still one of those people, you sell yourself short. Obviously, I've done a whole day of filming with you, and you know, we've done the ghost hunts. We've sat down in a room. You've sat down with two people, myself and Ben, and on these occasions, I've never laughed so hard in my life. Even just in the car trip, we had two people in the back, and there's me and you in the front. Funny as fuck. You know, there's no pressure, buddy, but you are an absolute hoot. You really are. You're a great guy to be around, and you. I know you have a problem with the social anxiety, but when you're comfortable, you're fucking hilarious. And just your whole personality and your attitude comes out, and it's, you know, it's infectious. You know, just it'd be nice to be able to share that more with you.
At one point, I'd asked Sean, Cinematic Excrement, if he could direct the American side of things just to make it easier and edit. So I only had to focus on half of it, which would have saved me a lot of time and stress.
The saving grace is that Sean from Cinematic Excrement will be directing and editing the American side of things, whereas me, in Dark Knight Stumbles, I edited every single frame, all 1 hour and 47 minutes of it, and I was sick of seeing them by the time of it came out. So,
and then there's no easy way to say this, you know, if you guys have followed my work for a while, what happened with me and Naomi happened. That was on me. I was a very toxic person towards her, and took that public, and it was something I tried to justify for a while, but realistically you can't justify behaviour like that. I acted incredibly cruelly and disgustingly, and she was removed from the project. You know, she was one of the main characters. I believe she was playing Poison Ivy, I think. Speak of the devil. Look at that costume. Jeez. After Naomi left, it then became clear that we needed a rewrite.
A lot has happened since the first film, and I think not only does that need to be addressed in the sequel, but it's something that is a story I think is worth telling from a personal standpoint. It's therapy that I can get out in the open. You know, since the first movie, me and my ex-wife did divorce. She did leave our son's life, and these are things that I think are worth telling.
So not only was I the Riddler, but I always was playing Kick-Ass, because I love the Kick-Ass films. I wanted to play Kick-Ass. Together as a unit, we can kick ass. We brought in Pete, the Splice guy from my crossovers. He was playing Batman. My son was involved. He was playing Wolverine. It got to the beginning of 2019. I had made script adjustments. I think all of the stuff with Bane and Joker, that was all still the same. They were still doing Bill and Ted. They were still at the Circle K. 2019 hit, and we finally got a new version of the script. So it took less than a year to write this new draft. And I was like, let's just do it. So I did another GoFundMe, raised about, I think it was another £400 or £500, which was again amazing that people donated twice. And we started filming in February with Pete as Batman, my son as Wolverine, Luke was there as Adam West. Has anyone ever told you you look an awful lot like Batman?
Yeah, there's a further resemblance between us.
Have you ever seen him and Batman in the same room at the same time? How much money you got in the bank account?
I don't know.
Not a lot, no.
You are Batman! Wait. I'm very confused. And unfortunately, Aaron, who had been in the iconic Lord of the Rings review, and he had appeared in several videos in the past, he was directing.
Okay guys, so today's the first day of filming of Ready to Stumble. Aaron is literally just about to show up. Remember, he didn't show up for the first movie, so I'm going to proper milk this. So you're actually showing up for this movie then?
Yeah.
We're off to a better start this time, are we?
Yeah. I was like a giddy schoolgirl kid. I was so happy, so excited. I just kept messing up takes because I was so happy.
Sorry. You're director of photography right now, so let me know when you... Or if it was weird, like someone else say. I'm in bed and you're going to say action. Sorry, I'm not in a giggly mood because I'm so excited.
Jesus.
Okay. It was weird because we were taking it more seriously in the sense that we were taking our time. There was at one point we were shooting footage for just the opening credits with me doing mundane things, walking around eating cereal, things like that. I know that Pete was helping with certain shots and we were trying to be a lot more creative, but we were taking our time. And on one point, I think the first day, me and Aaron spent hours filming. I think it was about 4 or 5 hours filming about 3 shots because we just kept doing it over and over until we were happy with what it looked like. But there was still no preparation. There was no... We didn't sit down beforehand and plan out the shots. We just got to the day and thought, let's film it. So that looks better, yeah?
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is, do you want me to do like a sort of zooming out shot as you wake up?
He knows all the terms, doesn't he?
Or do you want me to, or would you rather start from far away and then zoom in?
Ooh.
Or would you like me just to leave it?
I don't think this through.
Like, we knew a lot more with lighting. We were taking our time to get the perfect shot. It's just we didn't prepare beforehand. So there's more knowledge and skill there than there was before. But that's a low bar.
I can still zoom in a bit, but I mean, is that okay for a starting position? Or would you rather me zoom out?
Zoom out a bit, yeah. So we do one of each.
Okay.
One zooming in, one zooming out, yeah. Oh, we've been all pro on this. This is weird. You watch the film come out and look like shit.
Action.
I don't know why I'm laughing. It's because I had like a dopey look on my face, and then you said action. I'm like, great, that's what the take's going to start. Oh, fucked up future takes. This is the last one.
Just do a quick test recording just to
see if you can see the studio lights. Can you see the reflection?
Yes and no. It's hard to explain. It's on the plastic. It's not on the actual glass. I can't see him on the glass, but I can see him on the plastic.
On this bit?
Yeah.
Hold on, keep the camera down a second.
If you could perhaps lower him a bit.
Ah, yes.
There we go. Now that's a shot.
This movie's going to be amazeballs.
I'm going to take the time to make this as professional as possible. I have a certain image for this film and a certain idea for this film to look. And I'm going to bust my ass. I don't care if it takes another 3 years. I don't care if it takes 17. I'm going to take my time to make this as great as it possibly can for you guys. So even if I have to fund it myself, I will.
I just don't want people to get frustrated or stressed if they have to do something a second or third or fifth. I'm not going to be Kubrick, but if you have to do numerous takes, that's to be expected. It's a film. It's not a YouTube video, it's a film. It's for YouTube, but I don't want it to just be an extended YouTube video. It's an actual movie that I think we can all be proud of.
You can do the same side angle. It's just make sure I'm more like in the middle of the frame.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to frame it up, I'm like in the middle there.
Yeah.
And then just keep the camera there for when I enter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Close up.
Okay. Do you want to have a look? Just thumbs up. Okay.
I don't want to do the whole let's, fuck it, make it as dumb as possible. As in continuity and changing and lighting. It needs to be a properly lit and shot film.
Do you like our Easter eggs? Just look, just in case they missed it. See, this is us being clever.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, we're clever. We know what we're. And then in the living room, there's the kick-ass outfit in the background. Oh, look, just genius.
Yeah, look, if I was just zoom in for you, there you go.
You can't match our filmmaking techniques. For the last shot, do you want to do more of a white
that's
shot?
actually pretty neat. While you're walking away,
yeah,
I can actually see the reflection of you in the mirror, and in that mirror, walking away. So if you want, what I could actually try and do is do a zooming shot into the other mirror, so as you're walking away.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Okay.
Acting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Boom, it's on fire. Then, or should I start from standing up? I might start from standing up and then just have it zoomed in a tad.
Yeah.
Then as I'm walking away, I will twist the thing the right fucking way and zoom out into a wide shot without my hand getting in the way of the shot. Well, you really need the audio from it though.
I can always try like Foley, like get sound effects for burning and shit.
Sorry. I fucked up.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Is the audio on now? Are we recording?
Yeah, yes, the audio is on.
Are we recording, yeah?
Yeah, we're recording still.
Yeah, I'll try and do sound effects.
Yeah.
It should be fine. Yeah, that fire got a bit more out of control than I expected it to.
Yeah.
But it's for the opening credits, so I'm guessing audio won't be too big an issue
That's
anyway.
what I'm thinking.
For that, I literally at first I was like, these aren't gonna light. Fuck.
Yeah.
And then it just got out of control, and I was like, stay in character, just stay. Whereas genuinely, I was like, to back up a bit. I'm gonna get caught on it or some shit.
But I want this to be taken slowly, and I want people to respect that. That it's not just a case of point the camera, do a take, and move on. If it's not good, if the take isn't good, it's fine. Do it again, you know? I also want to stress enough that sometimes a scene won't be good and may need to be reshot. The US stuff will be, you know, people flying to Sean in California and filming for a week. And they maybe need for a second week, months down the line. Obviously, taking into account continuity this time.
Teabag him! How do you think filming of the greatest comic book adaptation is going?
I'd say it's going rather swimmingly. Welcome to a special behind the scenes where
We filmed some weird shit. Shaving, cereal. Are you able to get us both in the shot though? If I'm standing here.
Right, go, like, stand where you would be shaving. Right, and then I can back up. Right, I can then sort of pan onto Batman. Batman then delivers his line, to which I...
Hurry the fuck up, fatty!
To which I pan back to.
So you can get us both?
Yeah.
Come on, Rob!
I'm trying. Is this really necessary?
You can't fight crime with a 70s porn star in your face!
Alright, just give me a minute.
Hurry up!
I'm trying! There's a lot of shit, man!
Go faster, Max! You can't fight crime with a 70s porn star crotch on your face!
Alright, I'm trying. What about Hagrid? He saved people, he had a beard.
I don't care!
Dumbledore?
They're fake!
What, and this is all real?
Yes!
Okay. Why did Gotham get cancelled?
Don't start with me.
You gonna be in Ready to Stumble 3?
Joke's on you, this shit won't get that far.
Oh, okay. I don't know about this, dude.
What? What's the problem?
It's just kind of riding up in certain places.
Do you want to be a superhero or not?
No!
You gotta dress like one.
Why did I even have to shave? The mask covers it up. The passion was still there. We filmed in the woods with Kick-Ass and Batman, and it looked pretty good quality-wise, but there was still so much shaky cam. It was still very, very amateur. It was showing a lot of signs that, you know, problems that the original movie had.
If you want to be a hero, you've gotta dress like one. Now, show me your best punch. That was awful.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, really bad.
Yeah, I get it.
You know, I thought Robin hit
Really bad.
Oh, I get the idea. Come on.
You just made the bat laugh.
Should do another one where it stays a close-up.
If you want, we can do.
History was repeating itself. Is the lighting actually alright?
Now that you mentioned it, no, not really. We could do with a studio light. I don't know, I mean, you tell me, but I'd say we need the light. And there you go, we've got snow apparently.
Alright, we were going to film outside. We're not going to film outside today.
No, I think we better delay that scene.
Half the scene will be like really sunny, the other half, it's raining now.
And snowing.
What the fuck is your problem? No, just get the fuck out, right?
Look at the door frame! That's my problem, the fucking door frame.
This is what this looks like. He looks normal. And I'm dressed as Kick-Ass. So this...
I'm Wolverine!
This is a very odd image. People should be used to this.
So
if you stand over here, Luke, sorry, Eric, you'll have to stand behind the camera, please. So, no, literally behind Aaron.
Right.
So, Luke,
do you want your...
if you stand a bit closer, you want to take your mask off real quick?
Yeah.
Do you want your legs in the shot, or do you just want it of like...
Just upper body if possible. How do I do this?
Can you swirl them? Not like that.
When's the end?
Whenever, mate.
Fuck Robin. Hit like crap.
Yeah, alright, whatever.
Hey, you just made the bat laugh.
Oh, sorry.
We were trying so hard not to. It looks ridiculous with the bulky.
Shall I do it one more time? Sorry, Evan. Sorry. Even I can't.
I think it's the sound of the suit. It's so bulky. Just...
Get up! Ow! This is the Viz Books Training Academy.
Fine.
We don't sleep.
Let's get this over with. I'm so glad you did that. What? That was such a cool touch. I was trying not to laugh.
What?
just pull that out, hit me and walk off. That look alright, yeah?
Can I join in?
This is our budget. At least that's sturdy. Why has Batman got a sword?
Batman's Zelda sword.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's our director, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. You're gonna get Barbara in no time with those moves.
Pick it up!
The Joker!
I'm gonna get you! I'm gonna get you! I'm gonna get you!
How is this training?
I'm gonna get you! I'm gonna get you!
Fuck's sake.
This movie's gonna win awards.
They asked me to do a serious role.
Deadpool's better than you. Oh, you son of a... Oh, God. I never loved you. I do. I'm really sorry.
Oh, Rob feels guilty.
Shut up. I have a heart.
Oh.
You said you don't love me.
I do.
You ready?
Hold on! He's got to get down from the dangerous ledge. And then it's a fight to the death.
You called my name?
Batman. Hey! Ah! Oh, I'm really sorry. You okay?
Ah! Fuck!
Oh, Barbara never loved you.
No!
Yeah. She kissed me on the cheek.
You son of a bitch!
You get knocked down. Are you getting old, Batman?
Very.
Just start again.
All right,
He's having trouble getting up.
You get down. You get up. Now get up.
You get knocked down. You get up.
This is gonna be a long night.
I just tripped on camera, didn't I? You get knocked down. You get up. Ah!
This is gonna be a long night.
We could kick some Bane and Joker butt.
Now you.
Go.
You're pathetic. Come on, I'm on 512.
I'm trying.
13.
One.
You're not gonna last.
I'm the star, really. How do you guys like the film? It's pretty sick. 10 on IMDb. Write the comments. Luke and Eric, terrible actors. Awful cameraman. But Rob Bohr, perfect. Sorry. You got a big head, Logan.
Are you calling me fat?
Yes.
I'm gonna destroy Deadpool!
It's up to us. Bane and the Joker are going to destroy the world. We are the only ones stepping in the way. That doesn't make sense. The world is on our shoulders. It is us v them. We have to do what it takes to keep Cinematic Venom alive. Nobody can stand in our way. We have to save the world.
We are screwed.
There was actually meant to be a pause, but I think that's even funnier. That's just instant. We're screwed.
Do you want me to try again?
No. Actually, I'd rather that.
Sorry, just Batman like doing observations just looks funny. Blind spots. Okay, are you seriously going to tell me what the hell's going on here?
I'm Batman.
Well, yeah, I gathered that much. What the hell do you want?
Cinematic Venom is under attack. Again.
Oh, no. We are not. We're seriously doing this again?
I'm as surprised as you are.
I mean, was there even that much high demand for a second one? Okay, I thought we ended this crap with that explosion.
Hang on. Just let me pull over. I can't see a fucking thing.
Alright.
It caused major disruptions in the space-time continuum, which brought the movie world and the comic book world into our world.
So you're not really Batman?
Of course I'm Batman, you fucking idiot. Bane and the Joker. They're coming for you. And they're going to kill everybody affiliated with Cinematic Venom. Especially that really handsome guy from the Guest House Paradiso review. And the Drop Dead Fred review.
I don't understand.
Are you fucking stupid? They're coming to kill you.
Who?
Bane and the Joker! Do you not remember Ready to Stumble?
This is Ready to Stumble.
No, this is 2.
Yeah, the first one was Dark Knight Stumbles.
Oh yeah.
I know it was a great film, but you've just forgotten it, Batman.
You don't need the details. You just need to know. They're dangerous. They're coming for every member that has been a part of Cinematic Venom from the start. They are dangerous. They will stop at nothing until you are dead. You don't understand.
I'm scared.
Me too. Hold me.
It's no one's answering.
Where would they go?
I don't know.
You need to think.
I don't know. I haven't spoken to them in ages.
Think!
I don't know!
Let me turn on the radio. Maybe there'll be some news.
Very violent. No wonder your parents left.
My parents died!
Martha!
Why did you say that name?
Wow, how did you turn the radio on that precise moment that you needed that information?
Shut up and listen!
Sorry.
Well, we have to assume you are the only remaining member of Cinematic Venom.
What do we have to do?
We have to train you.
As in fight? Mate, I've only had one fight in my life, and it was when I was 12.
Look.
And it was a draw.
Look.
And it was really fat.
Shut up!
So how'd you feel, Bats?
Hot, sweaty, uncomfortable.
At least I bought you a drink.
Well, it's not here, is it?
Oh, you left it behind.
It wasn't structured. I constantly change my idea, and I get more ideas, and then I'm going back to the script and changing it. That's on me.
The script went through several changes over time, I believe largely because people kept dropping in and out of the project for various reasons.
The only film I was ever involved in with Ready to Stumble was way back in sort of 2019, me reprising the Adam West 60s Batman I did in The Dark Knight Stumbles with Rob and his son Eric, with an old friend of Rob's filming. So any future plans that I might be involved in the future I don't know about at the moment, until like the writers and Rob and his writers have sorted any like the script. I think they're still doing sort of finalising changes, so I won't know unless I think I'm still sort of planning to be involved, but I'll have to just see what the plans are really and what are going to, and I'm sure the plans are still me doing the Adam West 60s Batman.
We filmed for a solid few months, so at this point we had a solid script. And then in May 2019, something happened. Aaron was arrested for certain charges. I wasn't aware at the time. I couldn't get hold of him, he just vanished. A few months later I saw him in passing, and he didn't want to tell me what had happened until years later, I think about 2 years later. At the time he just disappeared, so I lost the only other person who was actually helping me on a production standpoint move this project along. It kind of lingered because I was trying to get a hold of him, trying to find a way around it. What do I do now? Because no one was helping me with these videos. I was a one-man team at this point. This was when the one-man team began. This is when Venom Month spiraled off with it being just me. People were doing crossovers and stuff virtually, but it was all just me in a room with a camera. 2020 rolled around, and I had this huge surge of motivation where I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to do it all myself. And I planned to get all of the UK stuff shot that year. I thought I'll just go out, I'll plan out the shots, I'll tripod it, I'll steady cam it, whatever it takes, I will film all of this myself. I wanted to show you guys that the project was moving along because you had donated so much money. So I put together the trailer. I think it was quite literally about 2 weeks after that trailer dropped. Something happened.
The coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced for decades.
This was such a blow. Even Venom Month that year, I was planning to go down to Brighton to film with Dave in person and the Cinematic Mind. We were going to do a 3-person crossover. Luckily, I was able to incorporate COVID into the Venom Month storyline that year, but it meant I couldn't film Ready to Stumble, and it was put on hiatus again.
I can't remember exactly when he first asked me for involvement on the movie, on the script, where he was talking about his plans and what he wanted to do in the movie, and I thought, that sounds really funny, that sounds like a great idea.
At one point, Loli was brought on board to help with the script and direct the American side, and I think she was also going to play the spoiler, which was another character we had added.
Now, my positions were various. I was
a writer, script doctor. I was the director of photography at some point for the American shoot. In September of 2020, I joined the cast because Rob had asked me to join. We did our episode of Psycho 3 where I had the privilege of playing the terrifying Norman Bates. The reason why he picked me was because he really liked the cinematography in my review. Now, you're probably thinking, if you've seen it, because it's pretty much lost media by this point, it's not really much, is it? Well, the thing is, you guys haven't seen the full thing, and I don't think I'll ever be able to release it, seeing as it's really grody. It is bloody, it is gross, it's horrifying. It basically has everything that a slasher movie would have, but YouTube would not allow. So, that's going to be also in the lost media archives. I joined, and I found out that a lot of my friends were working on it, and I thought, well, this is great. This is wonderful.
Rob asked if I wanted to be involved in writing the script. And me, being the naive little bastard that I am, I thought, yes, fuck yes, I love movies, I'd love to have input on a script, this is going to be great.
I, at some point, was even asked to be the storyboard artist, which I couldn't really do because it was a lot. And the script kept changing, so most of the drawings that I did became, completely obsolete.
Over time, it was just a random clusterfuck. I was just kind of inviting everyone in. And it was just a barrage of random characters. It didn't really matter if I knew the characters or anything. No, come on in, everyone be in this movie.
By the end of the year, it had all become too much with the EFAP stuff, kind of everything, that I decided to call it quits, and I ended the Cinematic Venom channel. I ended the show. But I was still keeping, the channel was still active. I was still going to make the movie. It was going to be a Cinematic Venom production. It was still going to go on the channel. So we were still planning on releasing this thing. Unfortunately, in August 2021, I'd had a bit of a mental breakdown, and I ended up closing the channel completely. This meant that the project was officially cancelled.
Rob has cancelled the film about 4 million times, so I don't know if I can catalogue my reactions to that, because every other week it seems like it's being cancelled, and that Rob won't see that as an insult.
I did cancel it a number of times because it just wasn't progressing. So it just seemed easier. So many times I went back to the gang and I said, I'm really sorry, this isn't happening. It's done. And then, oh no, it's greenlit again. But at this point there was no Cinematic Venom. It was cancelled. I emailed every single person who donated the money, and I apologised, and I said, you donated money, I'm going to pay you back. The money's gone, and I can show you the receipts, that it went towards costumes, it went towards equipment for blood effects, genuinely all went to the movie, none of it was pocketed, but unfortunately things happen and the movie, wasn't going ahead. So, like I said, I apologised to everyone and I offered to pay them all back. It was now coming out of my own pocket, basically, so I said it would take me a while, but I'm going to pay you all back, and I did. Again, there's the receipts. I was personally paying everybody back, one by one. It was going to take forever, but, they paid for a service and I didn't deliver. February 2022 happens, and Cinematic Venom is back, baby! When I rebooted the channel, that was the first thought on my mind. What do we do with Ready to Stumble? So the first person I went to was Steve. And I said, what do you want to do? Are you still wanting to make the movie? Or has this been such a delayed issue that you're no longer interested? He was down to do it. I then went to Sean. He was down to do it. Luke, everyone was down to participate and contribute to this movie still.
I want to make this sequel. And the US shoot is the difficult part. So I've still got all the footage I filmed. I'm still going to work with some of the stuff I filmed. Some needs to be reshot. But this is a big thing because it's requiring getting so many of us, or so many of the US cast together at the same place. So I do need, if we are going to do this, and everyone in this chat has shown interest, at least in the old project or the new one, about wanting to do this and still going ahead to do this. I always also had reservations about the US shoot, because I haven't worked with Steve or Alex since this movie, so I don't know what they're capable of filming wise. However, I've spoken to Sean and he's willing to try directing. I'm going to edit the whole thing, so I'm taking over editing duties. Sean will be editing. Sean will be directing with Lowly assisting as well. They both know what they're doing, so I'm happy to do that. I just want to stress enough that needs to be a real film. Nothing like the original. I'm not an expert, but I know more now than what I did back then.
At this point, I said, look, we've let people down so many times. Let's keep this a secret.
Most of you I've spoken to privately about the interest of resurrecting this project. For those who don't know, it's been production hell, if I'm honest. And then I canned the whole thing when I ended Cinematic Venom. So I wanted to just give you all an apology, because it just seemed like it was all on me, and then I quit, and it wasn't fair on you guys. I felt I was the only one pushing this forward. I was the only one who filmed anything besides Howard, who's not in this chat. He's waiting for the final, the actual go-ahead before he agrees and signs on to this project.
At the time, all the people that were in the production, had made a promise, or rather a pact, that we would keep this project a secret until it was finished. And we all managed to keep our promise. We all stuck to it. We were loyal to the project. We all said, okay, we're going to be here. We're not going to flake.
I didn't want to tell people we're making it again. I didn't want to drop another trailer, because who cares at this point? When I'm constantly making these promises and then it just doesn't happen, people are going to catch on. They're not going to believe anything I say. And if I wanted to do another Kickstarter, people are going to think I'm taking the piss and that I'm just trying to rob your money, which isn't the case at all. All of the money was spent genuinely on the production. However, because of what's happened, I felt like I needed to inform the people who did donate. So I did send them all emails and I said, look, please keep this between us. We are trying to get this movie made. Bear with us.
Before Rob had asked me to be involved, he was telling me about how he had planned to shoot part of the movie in the States and part of the movie where he was in the UK, where the US crew would do their stuff. I can't remember if he mentioned if he was going to fly over there as well, or if they were all going to do their stuff remotely. I believe they were all going to do their stuff remotely.
For the better part of about a year and a half, I was writing this screenplay.
It was a mess. It wasn't until late 2022, early 2023, when Rob and I decided to buckle down and work. And so we got on this writing collaborator application where we started writing scripts. I did a couple of edits. Some scenes rather, were a lot funnier than they used to be, because of visual humor that just kept building on itself. And it made it even funnier because these sight gags that were in here would build upon themselves. Like you have one that was smaller, like it would snowball, kind of. That's basically what we wanted, because comedy with timing, it's all about timing.
Over time, the writing process was just really, really tedious. And it was at this point I forced myself, I set myself a target to write bits of the screenplay for just half an hour a day. Just half an hour, small increments, and then eventually I'll get a screenplay. And that was working for a while.
It wasn't until March of 2023 that something happened. And that something was called the WGA/SAG-AFTRA strike. The contract for the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild was kind of like hanging in the balance. They had parts of their contract that were not correct. The pay was not right. The benefits were being taken away. Things like that. And so, folks that were in it, around, or working with, or supporting these companies, like for example, these unions, WGA and SAG-AFTRA, they would have to, stop with them. And because obviously I supported their strike and I wanted them to get better wages and better healthcare and things like that. And I also saw that the bigger companies were doing something bad. I decided to protest alongside them, but I never thought that this protest would go on for as long as it did. It lasted almost 6 months, which was crazy. And during those 6 months, I only had maybe about 15 days of work that I did on that script. It was before I was told not to write anymore to support the strike. I made my own version of it called the Monday Cut, which I still have in my possession. I'm not going to be releasing that because, I mean, Rob wouldn't want me to anyway. What I did was I decided to hold on to it, and suddenly the production, because, well, not many people were interacting, it halted almost immediately. Like, basically, as soon as it started, it almost halted forever. It was almost cancelled.
It was during this process, unfortunately, despite my promise before, Alex was removed from the production. Steve had come to me with concerns because Alex had a tendency to go all in for a shoot and then back out at the last minute, and it seemed he may not be reliable and it might be a repeat of the first film's events. So Alex was unfortunately removed.
I would be going through depressive periods, and I wasn't adding or contributing in any way. Things would take way too long, even just in this type of situation here with sending in this video. There's patience that's been had with me that I'm grateful for, and it was something I'm grateful for being able to get back involved with the project. So being honest and accepting responsibility is a huge deal in any situation, but it's also important when you're doing business. If you want to try and end up doing business, then you need to try and do good business with the people that you work with. And at the time, I wasn't. These are things you have to admit to yourself. You have to be honest and real with yourself, and still not provide excuses, but find reasons. And I think over time, finding the reasons, working on myself, being able to be honest as well, it's a huge, huge help for yourself and for everybody else around you. Self-love is a huge deal as well. It's something that you should never forget as a creative. To anybody out there, never forget to have that self-love and work on that, because that's where, if you don't have it, you end up lacking the motivation to want to try and do anything, because you lack a motivation for life. You lack a zest for life. And finding that zest again, it comes through working on things. It comes through working on yourself. It comes through working on your creative self.
Alex decided to leave the project for personal reasons, and in the end, for the US cast, it was just three people left. And those three people were myself, Sean Moore, who you probably know as the Smeghead on Cinematic Excrement. Wonderful show. Subscribe.
No, don't subscribe to Sean. No.
How we're going to get together ourselves, how we're going to incorporate a new storyline that made sense with just Joker into the story. We all worked on the script writing, for the plot points. We even tried to figure out how the heck one story would connect to another. Now, I don't want to blame anybody. Nobody blames anybody. It's nobody's fault. Things happen for a reason. But the script, again, was delayed because we had to rewrite again. And that's where I came in. So I helped a lot once it came to plot points and things like that. Most of the cast did too. You can ask them. They'll tell you the same.
I also recall there was another cast reading where, this was after Alex had dropped out of the project, where we were discussing whether or not Bane should actually be killed off, and I believe Rob wasn't too keen on that idea at the time because he wanted to leave the door open for Alex to return later. And honestly, we probably could have just killed him off because we are in the Batman universe. Ra's al Ghul was even part of the story. We got the Lazarus pit right there. Just throw Bane in, hose him off. He's back. He's fine.
Yeah, I didn't want to kill them off because I didn't want to do a third film, but the more we worked on this, I was like, oh, so and when we came up with the ending, I was like, that kind of leaves so much possibility for a third one.
Yeah.
And by then, at the rate the channel's growing, we might even have the money to fly the Americans over here to shoot a third film. So I said I'd leave it open just in case.
That was a shame because I really wanted Bane in that movie. He understood eventually. He was a little upset, but he said he understood. And we finally got a final draft in about the summer of 2023. The original plot at this point was the Riddler wanting to destroy all content creators because of the events of the first movie. Meanwhile, Joker is hunting down Bane. He's trying to find Bane, so he kidnaps Sean, again, because he thinks he's God, so that subplot stayed the same. My friend Loli, who has been in a couple of reviews before, in the Psycho reviews, she was then going to be like a friend of Sean's who tries to save him. She ends up dressing up as the spoiler to try to take Joker down. Joker forces Sean to dress up as Captain Planet because lol.
And I don't recall exactly why, but I believe part of their plan involved dressing me up as Captain Planet for some reason. In fact, I think I still have the costume somewhere. My weight has fluctuated a bit since then, so I have no idea if it still fits. I'm not sure I want to find out. I think ignorance is bliss in this situation.
I'm so sorry, Sean. It turns out Cinematic Venom hasn't been seen in 10 years. And then he's presumed dead. But oh no, he's alive again. Batman finds him. Batman trains him up to be kick-ass. Big battle. There you go.
We started filming this 9 years ago. Steve and Alex shot the first stuff in March 2013, and the UK guys filmed it in June 2013. So it's been 9 years since we started filming. So I feel like we can have this be a sequel that takes place a decade later.
This was when I started a new job. I was only there briefly, but I met a guy called Sam, who was really interested in my other channel and the business that I run, and he actually became business partners with me, and he became very involved in the movie.
Okay, so I'm here at Boughton Cemetery, the haunted graveyard, waiting for Sam. There it is. Creepy ass graveyard. It was actually Sam who recommended this place. I was looking at a graveyard in London that I thought looked really cool. This is for the opening fight between myself and Sam, Riddler and Batman. And ironically, Sam sent me pictures of Boughton Cemetery, and he was like, oh, this looks cool. And it turns out I've actually already filmed ghost hunts here before. So, and it's only up the road from us. The pictures of like the church ruins.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, at first I was like, it looks kind of cool. But then when I went inside it, I was starting picturing the fight scene. Oh, actually, this will look pretty sick. Especially at night. It does look pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. It was made for this. Thousands of years ago, they constructed this place. They let it go to shit just so we could use it.
It does look pretty cool, doesn't it? It looks so cool. This is already a really cool backdrop.
And even if mess, I saw off Mortal Kombat. That's brilliant.
Even if he would have panned it to this side.
Yeah.
Because then, so it's a selfie stick.
It's like a heavy selfie stick.
Yeah. So that's going to be a bit shaky. Yeah, I don't know how that would work. It'd be better if it's like the other way around.
So in theory, if someone's still enough, you could hold it. Like Max thing looking down onto what's going on, angled. So if we had a third person there holding it straight, looking down at the sequence.
And then I guess you could do this, couldn't you? Like almost a crane shot.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Feel bad for the cameraman.
There we go. Brother muscle.
That's a lot harder than it looks.
The real beast.
A lot harder than it looks.
During this time, Pete had to be removed from the production. Pete was gone as Batman. Sam stepped in as Batman. And it was at this point, you know, we knew that it looked cheap. We knew that Pete's costume looked cheap. We wanted to be taken a bit more seriously. That was the goal. We wanted this to be a much more serious production. We wanted people to know this was a redemption for me. I wanted this to show, look, I know what I'm doing now. We can do this. So we forked out a lot more money for a much cooler Batman costume, which looked insane and looked really good on Sam. He actually helped write the script, and it was done. We had a script. I also realised at this point that directing is definitely not my forte. I can light a scene. I can kind of act sometimes, but I'm not a director. I can barely edit. So luckily, my friend's partner, Ben, is a filmmaker. He actually had an appearance in the Indiana Jones 5 review with his partner, Katie, who was the one who recommended him.
I was initially introduced to the project by my girlfriend, who actually lived very close to Rob at the time. And I was sort of looking for some, minor directing work just to dabble in while sort of working, boring, normal jobs. And she let me know that her neighbour was actually putting together a short film. I was like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I'm totally interested. So she actually got us in contact, and we spoke for a bit.
We met up. The first time, actually, was when we went to a location just to check it out.
But the first time we actually met face-to-face was when we went to the first, and unfortunately the only shooting location in the end. But because of the drive that was about 4 hours, we left like very early morning. So the first time I met Rob was like, it was pitch black, and I just sort of got into this stranger's car.
So we drive up 4 hours, early hours of the morning, to Northumberland, to this cave, and just for us to be like, yeah, looks good. And then we went home.
So we have now arrived. What was that face?
Sorry, I was like, oh, we're filming, sorry, yeah.
We've now arrived in the middle of the woods. Really nice scenery, actually. And we are at the cave.
So I believe this is it. I haven't actually gone in yet. Oh, this looks sick. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, this is too sick. This is too sick.
This is brilliant. Oh wow, okay.
He was busy looking at the stream.
I was looking, I was seeing that the sun was actually going, we can get this actually going to be nicely blocked.
Right. Oh, this is so dark. I think I'm gonna need a bigger light. Oh wait, no, so this is no light. No, this will be like on top of the camera. This will be fine. We need a chair. Clark's going to be tied to it.
Hey, there you go.
And so is Jimmy. But so I need 2 chairs. Quick maths. Okay, so it is just these 2 rooms. This looks crazy. So I think this will definitely work because I feel like the stuff with the 2 Riddlers could be just outside it. And then the stuff inside the lair could just be these 2 rooms. So you've got your creative juices flowing.
Yes. Yeah, it was a lovely drive, honestly, and the location was brilliant, but we kind of knew with that from the get-go that this is going to be a very large commitment, and we need to make sure we get all of it sort of done in one go, because we can't be expecting people to come back out there, and we don't really have the benefits of reshoots unless they're complete reshoots, which in which case is also not a good thing.
We went to Northumberland. It was me, Sam, Ben, Jimmy, and Jimmy's partner, Sophie.
When I went up to do filming, it was a lot of fun. It was grueling, and it was a long, long day. But, I got to dress up as Deadpool, and the footage we came out with was really great and showed me that there is something in this. There is something in pursuing Ready to Stumble. I feel like it could be a really fun movie when it eventually gets made.
You don't think you'll ever actually be able to beat him, do you? I mean, you gave him a pretty good run for his money today. I like the part where he kicked your ass and you ran away like a little bitch. I do not need this from you right now.
I mean, you kill the Batman!
What the hell happened to you, man?
You used to be the Riddler, one of the greatest villains in Gotham. And now what are you? Shut up! Nigma? What is it, Lenny? Did you kill the bat dude yet? Not yet. Soon. When? Soon! So what do we do now? I don't know. It's just... until we kill the dark dude... Now you listen here, Leonard. I don't know what exactly happened in the Luther gene pool for your generation to take a swift backpedal on the evolutionary scale, but I am Edward Nigma. Gotham's cleverest carbon-based life form. I know exactly what I'm doing. Batman is the reason this all went to hell in the first place. Once we have eliminated him, we can go back to our main objective. We kill the Batman! Then we set our sights on the ones who caused this whole mess to begin with. Measly, pathetic little online content creators.
Sweet. I've always been nervous acting in front of other people. When we filmed in Northumberland, the first few takes are actually awful. I was just experimenting with the voice of these characters.
So what do we do now? 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 So what do we do now?
It was the same with Dark Knight Stumbles. I was really, really nervous doing any acting. So the first few scenes, I was just kind of getting in the rhythm of it.
Ben is very talented at what he does. And he also contributed a lot to the script.
I mean, it was great fun. Like, some of the most fun I've had in ages. It was a proper guerrilla filmmaking kind of, okay, cool, let's get up at stupid o'clock. All of these strangers cram in this car. We're all going to be driving now for 4 hours to get to this location, which is a forest, which to many people would just look like any other forest. But no, this one, they had a special cave thing, and it was right. It was the right one. But we got there, and like most of my experience sort of is acting, and most of that is still going to be theatre. But, you know, I've done, you know, small bits and dabblings with, like, you know, TV and film and stuff like that. So
sure enough, Riddle dude, I got one!
One what? What is this place? Who are you guys?
You moron! I said we gotta kill the Batman first! Oh. You haven't done that yet?
Nice outfit.
Ugh! You make YouTube videos?
What? Yeah.
How many subscribers?
A couple of thousand?
Seriously?
What?
I asked you to get content creators and that's the best you could come up with. Do you know how hard it is to get KSI and Mr. Beast, dude? You're part of the problem. And I'm gonna fix that.
That was the hardest day of my life as far as video production goes.
I feel like that day when we were filming showed why Ready to Stumble should carry on. You know, because there's fun to be had. There's the journey of making these kind of films where we do the best of what the small things that we have, the small time that we have, the small budget and all of this and that, and coming up with something genuinely good. That's the intention here, and I do think that footage that we got on that day was actually genuinely good and pretty funny.
I don't want to say I wasn't underprepared. I definitely wasn't. I, you know, planned everything out, but I feel like it was a big learning experience for all of us there that day. And I think as well, just like kind of like a, ooh, because obviously Rob is playing like 90% of the cast. And that involves a lot of costume changes. And when you're in a public space and on a very limited time frame as well.
So what do we do with this dude? Just put him with the other prisoner.
You can only fool yourself for so long, you know. Lenny!
Yeah?
Don't kill him until I get back.
Why not, dude?
I don't really know. We can't have him interfering. Yeah, that's it. We can't have him interfering.
Can't interfere if he's dead.
Clark Kent? Oh no. How will we ever get out of here? I am so scared. The hell happened to you?
Bear in mind that I drove 4 hours. We got there about 8 in the morning and we filmed continuously. And as we're filming continuously, I'm playing about 90% of the characters. It's just me and Jimmy. Me and Jimmy are the only actors in this shoot. Sam was on lighting, Sophie helped with some makeup, Ben's directing.
We got there, I want to say we probably arrived and started shooting pretty much straight away at like 8 in the morning after driving sort of 4 hours, which Rob drove, bless him. And then the first thing was like, okay, Rob, we need you to kind of like climb up this sort of sheer like cliff face and in this really tight like lycra kind of Riddler costume. Because I've got a really good idea. I think it'd be really good. But yeah, that's me.
I mean, the second shot, I nearly died on a cliff top because Ben thought it'd be a cool shot.
Stripping up a fucking cliff. You wanted some behind the scenes? There you go. Right. And now it's like, shirt or trousers?
Yeah, it's like, what way?
It doesn't really matter. They're both coming off.
I take it there's absolutely no way of you getting this on, even if it's just on the one shot, over that stuff.
No. Well, I can, but it would be like...
It would look, you would have very, very chunky legs for just this one shot. It's like...
and hypothermia.
Woo!
Can I just say I love being your friend?
Smells like success.
Right.
Never a dull moment.
Are you...
I like how you got half naked then decided to reposition yourself.
At what point did I end up here in my life?
Right, car keys.
Nice, yeah.
I can get back there. Let's do it there.
Yeah.
Immortalise yourself into social media history.
I've got no underwear on.
Go on, you legit haven't got any underwear on?
Okay. No, I do.
Oh, I was going to say.
So we arrived at 8 and we filmed like all through the day until it was dark again, pretty much. Until like there was no light left. And yeah, it was great fun. I feel like everybody actually really sort of bonded in that time. Like I'd never met any of these people except Rob, like at this stage. And yeah, they're all lovely.
I'm constantly changing clothes. So I'm rushing on, doing the scene, rushing off, doing the other side of the scene once I've got changed. And it was that constant. And at one point, like I think it hit to about 12 or 1 o'clock and I'm leaning on a fence, really struggling. And Sam and Jimmy like reassured me, you're smashing it, you're doing so well. I was so exhausted.
If it's 6 hours later, would you like to tell the people how many costume changes you've had so far?
So many. Jimmy's about to commit suicide over there.
Oh my god. That is like something out of a horror film.
Yeah, no problem, Riddle dude. I've got everything under control. Bro.
Oh no. I truly hate it here. There must be a way to escape. Please someone help me.
It was a nightmare. but it was so much fun. It was the first time, like filming with Ben, it was the first time it felt real that we were actually making a movie. Considering, like, with these, with Jimmy's videos, he doesn't really do sketches like I do. He doesn't really dive into acting. I was really proud of him. With the scenes that we filmed in Northumberland, Jimmy went all out. It was so fun, and Jimmy nailed it. His performance in those few scenes was so good. What the hell is going on here? I knew I should have killed you when I had the chance to. I didn't tell you, dude! Turns out, I actually need you. You're gonna help me kill Cinematic Venom.
But Rob's dead.
I thought so too. Turns out your buddy's actually still alive, which means my revenge is about to get just a little bit sweeter.
So you want me to help you murder one of my best friends just because you asked me nicely?
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, all right.
He had a producing partner, he had a co-director, he managed to get together some friends to act in the film, and he shot some test footage. And the test footage looked solid, you know, for a low-budget feature that was shot for very little money. It looked pretty professional from my perspective. You know, there were some bits that needed to be added later, like, you know, color grading and audio mixing and stuff like that. But for the most part, it showed, I thought, a great deal of promise.
I didn't get a break until Jimmy was doing a suit-up scene. I kind of went off for a walk and... but I mean, Ben's a machine. Ben Powell, he didn't get a break. He powered all the way through. He's a monster. I got a picture from his missus of him that night, or the next day, and he was just knocked out. And she goes, "You've killed my boyfriend."
Everybody sort of, you know, really gave it their all and really kind of understood the assignment of, you know, we are here, we have, like, you know, the bare minimum, we have absolutely nothing, but we are going to make something and we're going to make it worthwhile and it's going to look great. And yeah, I actually am quite happy with the footage. I mean, you know, there's always, you know, whenever you think, you always want to go back and perfect and blah, 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 blah. But the point with this shoot was the fact that I mean, it's a 4-hour drive. If it's like minor nitpicky things, that's something you kind of just need to fix in editing, unless it's a full overhaul of everything.
It was such a great day. And the footage looked amazing, and I can never thank Ben enough for that. Again, it felt like a real production at that point, and the amount of effort that we're putting in, I do think trumps other YouTube movies that are a lot worse. We have to go.
Where to?
To kill Cinematic Venom. What about this other prisoner, dude?
Oh no, I truly hate it here. I must find a way to escape.
Just kill him. It's time to finish this.
It was a really fun shoot, and we kind of soon after tried to plan the next one and get the next things thought, which I believe at the time was going to be like this, the opening, which would be some big sort of fight scene involving Batman and the Riddler. And yeah, that didn't quite come to fruition.
Riddle, dude? This is like the 3rd voicemail? I'm trying to kill this bro. It's not really working, dude. Ow. 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 I think he ate his Weetabix this morning.
How are you going to answer me sat in your car when it's all over me? Because I'm not going to be able to
I'm
watch
going to drive by midnight.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, but policeman pulls you over.
You got this man hostage. No!
Can't really see the blood splatter on my mouth.
Oh, it's so good.
The thing is, I'm pretty sure that comes before later on Lenny's shooting Clark, and he's absolutely fine.
Oh my god.
I love it so much. I was like, there's no Lenny Luther outfit. I literally googled 1980s clothes. Oh my god! I literally, in my head, I was like, yeah, of course that's what Lenny Luther was. I realised about the hat, and I just bought that randomly, and it just matched perfectly. It literally completely accidentally. This is what today looks like.
So I'm filming.
Oh my god!
That's a wrap!
That's a wrap, dudes! Thanks for watching and torturing me. Whoa! Let's go home.
Let's go home. Home time.
Sam also used to do martial arts. He was helping choreograph a fight scene that was going to be the opening. We were scouting locations. We found a haunted graveyard, and he was trying to help me choreograph that.
It's not nice and simple.
Nice and simple. It's going to be like 16
Nice and simple.
minutes.
This is going to start off quite simple and get progressively more complicated. So you can take breaks whenever you like. I'm effectively going to first come in with a kick to the side and then to the head. You're supposed to block both of these.
Okay.
In your mind.
Supposed to.
In your mind, how would one block a kick to the side like that? You can, yeah, try to. But these are going to be successive, so bang, bang.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang.
Is that how you do it?
There's a bang, bang, effectively. Yeah. I'll have to stretch next time before we do that.
I was going to say, how are you getting your leg that high?
I used to be able to get it higher. And what I wanted you to do after the bang, bang, you're going to come in with your straight punch.
Yeah.
So I'll be effectively doing this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we've got the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I was then going to come in
Bang,
heavy.
bang, yeah.
What I wanted you to do, not even block, I want you to slightly duck underneath, come up the other side, so you effectively end up there.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get really technical. I'm going to start doing this kind of shit. You're going to block my arm.
Yeah.
Both hands, or grab my arm if you like, whichever you like. I'm then going to come back round. You're going to duck again. I'm exposed. Fuck, uppercut me. Or something.
Uppercut,
something
yeah,
like
just
that.
hit you.
There's one sequence.
Okay.
That's 7 moves, right?
Jesus.
That's
Okay.
the easy one.
You had me with the first like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I thought so, yeah.
A little bit nervous because I've never had a real fight before in my life, so this should be very interesting.
I go with the bang, bang. You then come in with your right 3.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, bang.
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
7. Good at that?
I think so.
With enough practice, we'll get it quick. It'll be bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm in
Yeah.
Jet Li by the end of this.
You'll be Jet Li. So maybe I suppose you could do a lift the leg and block instead. So if I go quite low, bang, then I'll come back with a bang.
Oh shit, okay. So,
might look more effective on the camera. Bang, bang.
Yeah.
Let's set from kicking you at that point.
So block my shin and then...
Yeah, you can block or lift your leg, however you want to style it.
Yeah.
But bang, 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 bang. Ooh.
And that's the scene.
There we go.
We can shoot it right now. So when I've done fight scenes before,
yeah,
I've done punches, but what I've done is I've effectively done it slowly and then sped it up, but that looks shit.
Yeah.
So how do you do it?
You go fast and pull, like so.
Oh yeah, I guess. I was going to say, because
then you put the sound effect in, so instead of your like ribs breaking,
yeah, yeah.
if you have the hit
then
sound.
I'll just do that and then...
Yeah, but you got to go fast for it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
got to go bang.
Yeah. And
Or
then-
just go for the tip of the nose and I'll do the rest.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
I'm scared. So he should be.
A few months after, when I started working again, because the strike was over, I started on the script again, and the next thing you know, well, everything just kind of fell apart.
Steve had been trying to do a side project for a while, like a spin-off, to try to help keep the interest alive for the sequel, I guess, where him and Alex go to Universal.
Alex Hopkins and Steve Mioduszewski wanted to make a movie called Bane and Joker Go to Universal, which caused... basically, it was them meeting up and trying to figure out how to find Rob from Cinematic Venom, because he's the one that has all the power, and obviously, if you want to take over the world, you gotta have power, right? Well, they find out that Rob is still alive, and they go after him, but they also have to go find out if God is willing to help them. And if not, well, they'll kidnap him, and parade him about and such.
And for years, this was also in development how it was just meant to be a short, and he was going to shoot it like found footage kind of thing. And I actually did film some stuff for it.
The idea for that kind of came crashing down as well, unfortunately, and it was complicated because there were some storylines rather that were a little too ridiculous. I just could not think of how that could connect to anything. I'm sorry.
It never materialized. The same kind of thing happened where he said Alex wasn't reliable, so we had to try to find another person to work on it. But he was also getting frustrated because he'd asked me to write up some stuff for it. And I just, I'm making so much content. It wasn't malicious. I just didn't have time. And I said, let me kind of get ahead on Ready to Stumble, and then I'll jump back on this. And I just never had time. And that's my fault, for not communicating that much.
And Steven Mudashevsky, who was the scriptwriter for the first one as well, and the one that was writing Bane and Joker Go to Universal. So it was the three of us, and we were trying to figure out, how this would work. Because, Sean and I live in California, and Steve lives out in New Jersey, I believe. And we were trying to figure out how the hell we were going to get all these things together.
Unfortunately, after we filmed that, it came to my attention that we were planning all of these shoots over here, but the American shoot, nothing was progressing. There were no script rehearsals. I had appointed someone to direct those scenes over there. There was no plans for a shoot. There was no plans for a meetup. Like, nothing was actually progressing. So we had to make the unfortunate decision to keep it in-house and just remove the American cast completely and just have the whole thing based here.
The American cast was sort of progressively dropping out of the project one by one because they had other commitments, they weren't responding to messages, or they were just being lazy. So eventually Rob decided to just sort of say, do you know what, sack off the American cast, we'll just do it in the UK.
It's difficult because with a film, like people say, just do it yourself, Music, you can do yourself. Videos, you can do yourself. With film, it's very, very difficult, especially a superhero film, because how do you do that entirely on your own?
Because things weren't making sense, the ending wasn't linking with the other parts. Rob decided to nix the American cast, which I say is understandable. I get it.
Unfortunately, as time went on, it started to become pretty clear that the American side of the project just wasn't working out, and Rob made the decision to axe that part of the story and just solely focus on what was going on in the UK. And I was a little disappointed at the time, but honestly, I understood. Writing, directing, and producing a movie when you have your cast and crew directly in front of you is challenging enough. Trying to do that when you have a separate cast and crew on the other side of the Atlantic that you essentially have to direct remotely, that's gonna be challenging for anyone.
I was floored, but at the same time I got it. I totally got it. And also, I felt a little guilty because I couldn't help put it together the way that it was supposed to. The Monday cut actually had a very fluid ending that led towards the big battle that was supposed to happen at the end of the other one.
With the American cast being removed, we had to rewrite it again. And that was when me, Sam, and Ben shut ourselves in Ben's house with some beer for about 8 hours, maybe, just spitballing ideas, and we came out with a new draft. It wasn't finished, it needed some tweaking, but we were happy with it.
I also want to cover as many superhero tropes as possible, if we can make it obvious. Not as in, like, dumb down the audience's intelligence, but for instance, you mentioned when we went to the church where the opening fight scene, you suggested, like, lots of fast cutting. That's a trope.
The script session we had last year was actually, I think, very good and very needed. Because at this point, we'd already filmed all those first bits, so we'd kind of locked ourselves in a little corner where we couldn't add any new scenes in this location, and we really didn't want to take any of the stuff away. But the script did need like an overhaul, really, because there was a lot of elements in it that didn't quite flow, were a bit sort of like first drafty, and just needed that kind of fine tuning. And that's what, bigger script meetings of 4, and you get multiple people in with multiple sort of ideas, and you're able to then kind of whittle down. It was a really nice, productive day, and at the end of it, we came out with like a script that I was a lot more like happy and confident with. I still felt the need like another something, like another, not overhaul, but like a lot more fine tuning. But I think we changed the bones into something now where I'm like, yes, this works. This actually will function now as a story.
This new version brought Poison Ivy in as a main character who was going to be my ex-wife, and this was kind of some therapy because so much has happened since the first movie.
Poison Ivy, we've now got a Poison Ivy.
Yes.
Liv.
Yes.
Did you talk to her about some of the...
Yeah, she's fine with it.
Okay, sweet.
There were elements in the first film that were quite personal that I adapted. I guess as therapy, I was going through some stuff at the time.
I want some kind of friction between me and her because technically her character is my ex-wife.
Okay, cool, yeah.
I did ask her about an American accent. She said her American accent is awful. So I'm not too fussed about it. I'm like, we'll just drop it and no one will know.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm well over it now on a personal level, but it's something that I think I need to tell and put out there, things that I haven't made public, and I don't think a lot of people got that.
We needed to address it. Me and my ex-wife were together in the first movie. We're not now, so we needed to address that.
Poison Ivy.
Got her in some moment.
Yeah, don't really know what her motivation is at the minute.
Stick her in some moment.
In some comic books, she's actually an anti-hero. In the Arkham game, she actually helps Batman in one of the storylines. So I think it would be cool if she actually goes, like, double crosses Riddler at some point, which goes along with the ex-wife motif.
Yeah.
A lot has happened on YouTube since then, and I wanted to address that. So a lot of it, I like movies that kind of take risks, that it's a comedy, but it can get quite deep. And that was the plan. There were some deep elements in here. There was also going to be a subplot with me and my son. He was going to have a more prominent role in this part as well, in this movie as well, where we actually touch on his mum leaving. For those who don't know, his mum left when he was only 4. That was going to be implemented in the script. He's now 14, scary, and he's my height, which is weird looking at the footage where he's little tiny Wolverine.
And a couple of months later, things started happening, be it personal issues or personal beef, and basically the original draft was, destroyed.
So we had a new draft. However, Sam had to be removed. I've always wanted to find someone to share this with. That's what all of this is about. To share this interest, share this passion, and to share my work ethic. And I finally got that. He was sending me scripts for my other channel. He was helping with the scripts for this. He was going to learn to edit. He was coming with me to locations. He was helping choreograph fight scenes. He went to the movie shoot, even though he wasn't actually really needed, and did it all for free. He was incredibly supportive, and it was his contribution that led to my other channel getting more views, getting more success, and therefore more money. It was all of this stuff that you're all probably thinking I'm a moron for getting. And not only was he massively helping financially and behind the scenes and with writing and production, he was Batman. So the script had to be done. Again.
So I will admit, the first 4 years or so, the production problems were all me. I'll admit that. After that, there were so many issues with the production, not my fault. I cannot be blamed for these issues and the script constantly changing. It was out of my control.
It was at this point I was just frankly sick of it. I was sick of being let down.
Eventually people were again dropping out of the cast because of lack of commitment and not being able to commit. And I started to get sort of increasingly worried about Rob because he was getting, understandably, incredibly frustrated by the fact that he was trying to get this project off the ground and everything seemed to be going wrong and people were letting him down. And I'll lump myself in with that as well. I really, I should have been more open from the beginning about the fact that, I should have how's the best way to phrase this? Like, I should have really been more aware with myself and with Rob of the fact that I wasn't going to be able to commit to this project.
It's just very, very frustrating because I've put, not only did you guys do, you know, contribute to the Kickstarters, and thank you so much. I've put thousands of my own money into this film. I've traveled the country for this film. There's so much I've put into this movie, only for even those closest around me to not help.
And I think that's the reason I'm kind of pushing back to make this, because when I made this, no matter how horrible it was, I had so many people around me helping with it, so many people interested, and I think most of them will agree, like a lot of them couldn't act, but there were so many people who wanted to help with this production. And it was just a blast to have this many people surrounding you, making this one project. And that's, I think, why a lot of people resonated with Channel Awesome in their movies, to have that community. And the sequel kind of takes me back to that, because I don't have that anymore. It's no secret I don't have many friends, especially local friends. Ready to Stumble takes me back. That was what I wanted, to have another big project with us all working together to make something. I had consistently asked for help in my friend circle to write the script, and that's the thing. It wasn't even a case of people not showing up to set. I was trying to get people just to do a call session with me and spitball ideas, go over the script. I couldn't even get that. It was, friends would say that they would, and then they'd do a call, and then I was throwing ideas, and I wasn't getting anything back.
This was the frustrating part. People would promise to help. Yes, I'll help you. And then when we'd speak about it, they're, oh, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to. And then they'll do it again, over and over. This is a frequent thing. Don't offer to help. Just don't offer to help when you don't want to help.
Maybe it's my hard work ethic, but if you commit to something, you commit to something.
We had a group chat, and it was just really, really frustrating because this group chat had everyone in it, actors and people who were producing. And a lot of the time I was shouting out ideas, asking for feedback, and I just wasn't getting anything in response. The chat history is just me. It's just me shouting out into an empty void. And it was really frustrating because these people said that they wanted to make this film, but they weren't helping me make the film.
Just the more time went along, it just kept seeming to slip out of my grasp.
I remember when I heard that he was just going to do the UK cast, and after that, like a couple months later, he ended up canceling the project entirely. I thought, well, Jesus, that's sad. That's your like whole life. That's your baby. You're just dropping it. I felt really sad, and I thought, well, that's just Rob's choice. That's something he wants to do. Let him go.
Rob put a group of us together in a group chat where we were going to discuss the movie and discuss ideas about the movie. And we chucked a couple of ideas here and there, but after a while the chat became very unresponsive. From my end, I can only speak for myself, from my end it was partly because, I have a bad habit of saying yes to people if I like an idea without really thinking through whether or not I'm able to commit to the idea in a way that respects their time as well as mine.
Like, you don't have to buy any costumes, you don't have to come to site, you don't have to do anything, help with the script, that's free. I still couldn't get people to contribute to that.
I was still at university, I was working, I had lots of other obligations to attend to, and it became increasingly obvious that I wasn't going to be able to commit to the project fully. And there was a situation where there was a bit of a falling out within the group where Rob was getting frustrated by the fact that some people, including myself, I'll include myself in this, they weren't responding. I think the closest we got to a kind of coherent idea was just having a ridiculous climax where a bunch of characters who weren't even superheroes were going to come out of the woodworks. There was going to be John Wick, there was going to be a T-Rex, just ridiculous shit like that.
we had this idea of this big battle at the end, but it's so ridiculously over the top. Like they're fighting and then a pterodactyl flies past, lightning, Sauron's in the sky, the Death Star, some Vikings crash into shore. You've got Darth Vader appears, you got RoboCop, just all of this random stuff, but it's delivered so straight. We were even going to film it throughout the year in all 4 seasons, just to show this epic battle in the rain and the snow.
Wait till you hear the ending. Oh. Yeah, that's so fucking good.
I am excited. Like, there's a part of me, like...
We kept adding to it. And this...
As a friend that is really enjoying this and really like loving the actual story of it, I'm very excited. But as a director, I'm like, oh god. Like, oh, no.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to filming the big battle because most of it is me fighting myself. It's
that's the one thing I was thinking about.
I don't envy you at all.
It would have been insane, but I felt really bad for Ben that we were coming up with these ridiculous ideas and thought, yeah, you'll be fine, Ben.
At that point, it's, if my own friends don't care, why would anyone else? I was so fed up. Well, I ended up doing a video talking to you guys about it. That was a bad idea.
There's been people who have come out and they're like, oh, I'll help. And then all of a sudden they don't have time, or all of a sudden they change their mind, or all of a sudden they completely ignore all of my messages.
Their heart was probably in the right place, but it just added to the frustration because I'm open to ideas. People come to me and they will have an idea and I will incorporate it into the script because it's brilliant and it fits with what we're trying to do. Sam threw in loads of ideas. Jimmy has thrown in ideas.
So do you think we can cut this montage essentially?
Yes.
Yeah?
I think because the whole opening scene with the Riddler and Batman's going to be its big own montage of fight, interlaced with newspaper reports.
It's already established
music.
about this.
We're already establishing without that middle bit there, and then as soon as the fight's over, the movie's effectively now full flow, and we're putting straight to Riddler getting out of his car all pissed off. So you're good with binning this off completely and having it rewritten?
Yes.
That's
I can leave that to you. I'm happy with that.
But people would reach out and suggest something, and I would say, oh, we can't do that because of ABC. They would completely ignore what I just said and carry on going about this idea, ignoring what, and at that point I'm like, this is my project. So I appreciate you trying to help, but you're not listening.
So why bother? Like, it's not like I'm asking you and you're saying yes to be nice. You're going out of your way to reach out to me just to waste my time.
It's so frustrating. One person reached out and they wanted the film to have a whole subplot about their YouTube channel, and with all due respect to them, they had a couple hundred subscribers.
This whole thing is my baby. This movie.
It's more than just, an extended YouTube video or anything like that. It's personal to me. It's something that I need to see to prove to myself more than anyone. Over the next few months, I realised I don't really give a shit if anyone else likes the film. I'm going to post it and I don't care. I'm not going to ask people's opinions. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. I don't care. I ended up shutting myself in my office one day, switching off my phone, turning off socials, and just spending the day writing the script. And I walked out with a full script and I was really happy with it.
Eventually I had to come clean to him and say, look, I'm not going to pretend I'm going to be able to commit to this fully. However, if you show me what you've written, I can sort of give some sort of, informal feedback about what I think of the script. And he sent me a script that was, from what I can remember, it was the whole first act, or at least most of the first act, and then the climax. And I read it, and, obviously there were some bits here and there that needed to have been tweaked, but for the most part, it was really good. It was really promising. It was funny. It was playing around with a lot of the tropes that we see in superhero movies. There was I think he's cut it out of later drafts, but there was this amazing bit where Daredevil was a character in the movie, and because he's blind, he's just walking around into walls and smacking into furniture and walking off a cliff. And I just thought that was just sort of fantastic because it was playing off the trope of Daredevil being blind and turning it into a comedy bit, which I thought was really interesting.
There's a part where in the big battle, it's all over, there's corpses everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm dramatically walking over to my daughter to give her a hug. Daredevil's in the background.
Punch in the air.
I gave him my feedback and he seemed a lot more invigorated about the project.
You know, we could have lines like Rob saying, "Oh, you know, I'm not feeling safe," and that kind of thing. And I left you with a guardian. And then enters Daredevil, slams into a wall or something like that because he's blind. You know,
It's just one joke repeated over and over, and I don't care.
Ben and I met back up and I showed him the new draft. He went through it, he really liked it. We shared a few ideas, kind of bulked it up a bit. Really, really loved it. It then became clear that this was a lot of pressure and a lot of work for one man. So Ben had requested I find a co-director to split the workload. I thought there's no way that I could do it because I want to focus on the acting and the writing, producing and editing. Directing, again, like I said, I'm not a director. So, you know, I put out word on Facebook, in film groups, social groups, and the same thing happened again. Even a friend recommended someone who's in film and media, and they knew the deal from the beginning.
Rob contacted me asking if I knew anyone at my university who was studying film. I reached out to 3 people. One of them didn't respond. One of them was busy with another project and couldn't commit. But then the final one, surprisingly, said that not only was he willing to commit, but he wanted to read a script. He wanted to see some of Rob's previous work to get a feel of him, and he was willing to rope other people into the job to work with him. And I thought, oh, this is a fucking jackpot. I've managed to sort of sort something out for Rob. And in a kind of a selfish way, like, I really hoped that it would work out because then I would be able to make up for the fact that I had kind of wimped out of the production before. So it was sort of a redemption in that sense. So I passed on a lot of the information he was asking for. I passed him on links to Rob's channel, links to some of the test footage that he'd shot, a pitch for the whole movie that Rob had sent to me, and eventually the two of them were put in contact with each other.
We spent days talking just for him to say, oh, I didn't know it was this. I didn't know it was a sequel. I didn't know it was a superhero spoof. You did, because we made it clear from the very initial conversation.
After all of that, despite their enthusiasm for the production, their initial enthusiasm for the production, I should say, this person then dropped out of the production completely. Like, just sort of said, after all of that, after all those conversations with Rob, they said, oh, sorry, I don't think I'm going to have the time. Which was really, I don't know how to describe it. It was really frustrating, not just from Rob's end, because he's suddenly had another person seeming to commit and then wimp out at the last minute. But it was also frustrating on my end because it's like, well, I invested time into linking you guys up. So for you to kind of say that, yes, I'm committed, I'd love to do it, only to kind of chicken out, was just a colossal waste of time and effort on my end.
And then I've had people complain that the script keeps changing. Yeah, the first movie script kept changing, my fault. This one script keeps changing, not my fault. People keep letting me down.
It was clear that people either didn't like the script and just weren't honest enough. You don't like the script, that's fine.
There's quite literally nothing I can do when this many people just keep backtracking. And it's infuriating.
Other people reached out and then when it came to arranging a shoot, just stopped replying. So people were now actively wasting my time. If you're not interested, just say you're not interested. I'm an adult. That's what we do in the adult world. It's what you do in the filmmaking world. Say, I'm sorry, this isn't my thing. I'm sorry, not really interested. We're adults. What are we doing here? Well, you can't just tell me?
And at this point, it really, you know, and maybe I'll get emotional at this a bit, but it really started to break my heart because I was seeing Rob in really like emotional anguish over the fact that he was trying to get this project off the ground and just everything was going wrong. And I, you know, I'm not a devout man, but I really was thinking to myself, like, God, like, you know, go easy on this guy. Like, give him some peace. You know, throw him a bone every once in a while. It was really, it was distressing for me to watch. I can't imagine how distressing it was for him to experience.
At that point, it was clear I couldn't find a co-director, and Ben pulled out of the project.
I'm sure Rob will have gone into this, but like various things transpired. Certain people had to let go, and just other people, because I know Rob tried, I think, probably about half of the UK, and has been let down by, not, let down's harsh, let down's mean, but, because it's a massive commitment, especially when we can't offer any kind of actual financial, support in regards to it.
Unfortunately, because of the budget, it will be unpaid, or I might be able to pay a little, but it won't be a huge amount.
There's only so much people will do for free for a stranger before it's like, okay, cool, I'm going to give you I can give you 10% for free, but I'm not going to give you any more until you start paying me. We just did not have that kind of backing because of the nature of the piece, everything, money-wise that Rob was getting was having to go into costumes, was having to go on to looking into renting sets and stuff like that. It then kind of ended up at a point where it was pretty much just me and Rob. And by that, I mean pretty much just Rob, because I was kind of just waiting in the wings. But, life has a way of, getting in the way.
I don't hold this against Ben. It was a long-winded project. It was going through development hell long before Ben was involved. This was just kind of another brick wall. He had a lot going on as well in his personal life. Don't hold it against him. We're still friends. He's an amazing guy. And he's so, so talented.
It got to the point where I really want to see this project come true, but when I agreed to directing it, it was a different kind of stage as to where I am now. A lot busier now than I used to be, and I just don't have the full time to commit. Whereas I do feel that, God, if there was a time I was like, no, you know what, let's just block out these 2 months. We've got, full cast, full crew, full script. We wouldn't even need 2 months. We'd just need a month probably of non-stop shooting. Or actually a month. I think everyone would hate me by the end because they'd be being worked ragged. But anyway, it really wouldn't take that long. The issue is that, it was pretty much just me, Rob, and a few grains of rice as payment by the end. And I think that's why I kind of had to be honest with Rob, but also a bit with myself, of the fact that this is something that I am no longer the best fit for to see through, because I don't have the time to commit to this anymore. With the script being a lot better than it was when it started, but still I think not completely there, and with just pretty much losing everyone. Yeah, I think I just needed to take a bit of a step back and actually sort my whole thing out.
Don't quite know what to do anymore. 9 years is a long time to be working on a project and seemingly have made no further progress than when you started. And if even my friends aren't interested in trying to help, what use is there anymore? Yeah. Those closest to me don't seem to believe in it. So, honestly, why should I anymore? Now we're all caught up. All of this for a project that realistically no one wants. No one's gonna watch. No one's gonna care about. But it's a project I feel like I need to make and I need to complete now. For my own self-gratification, my own sanity. It's something I do need to follow through with. But how is the question?
Feels like this project is kind of cursed in a way, and it feels like Rob's always fighting against the tide to get it made. But I just really hope that when it does get made, this curse is kind of lifted and things turn up. Things do turn up, like more luck turns up for Rob, more people get involved and this and that. Maybe when he stops being so stressed by it and lets it flow a bit, something might turn up. Because I do feel like there's some genuine love at the root of this, and it'd be a shame to not have more people involved, not have Ben come back, and not have other people come back. You know, mate, I don't know how it's going to happen. I really hope it can get to those levels again. Or if we have to go down this more minimalistic road, I hope that we can deliver it just as well. You know, Rob is now directing on his own. I really hope Ben comes back as well, or Rob finds someone else to work with him, because Rob was really enjoying the fact and that he was now being directed. Now he's back as director. Now he's having to make all these changes. Now he's having to make all these edits. It's adding more stress, and I hope that along the way things get easier and people do return to the project and maybe new people get involved. I don't know. You know, maybe some money comes in and we can hire some professional actors. I don't know. But, you know, I'm looking forward to filming next year. Hopefully something turns up to get this more on a positive road and it's not just a stop-start project. It does turn into something.
I came for a walk because I'm like beyond miserably depressed. Currently up a tree. And I was just thinking this would actually be a pretty sick landscape. This house is in the background. This might be a pretty good landscape for the big fight scene at the end of the movie.
Over time, Ben was the only person who was actively pushing this project as much as me. And now even he was gone. I think even he worded it where maybe it's time to throw in the towel as well.
The only person on this project who has not let me down is me.
At this point, I didn't quite know what to do. So nobody was helping. I tried multiple times. People promised that they would help me and then they just didn't.
So it's at this point, I'm just going to have to do it myself.
It got to a point where Rob, I think understandably so, got incredibly frustrated and sort of said, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself.
There's no other choice, really.
Eventually, I started to think to myself, maybe I can do this. Entire movie where I play 90% of the cast, direct it, shoot it, produce it, edit it all myself. One of my heroes is Bernham. He does everything himself.
I'll write, I'll produce, I'll shoot, I'll edit, I'll act.
Basically, I said, I'm not giving up without a fight.
But when you've consistently had this many people continuously let you down, there is quite literally no other choice.
Recently, I remember hearing that he was going to buckle down and work as hard as possible on this project, in which case I thought to myself, wow, Rob's actually going to go and do all this stuff. This is amazing. I love this. Oh my gosh. So he started working on the script again, and I don't know what he's doing now, but I know that he buckled down and worked, and I'm sure that this one's going to be brilliant. I'm sure of it, because if it comes from the mind of Rob, it's for sure that it's brilliant. So for the future of this project, I believe that it will come out of the ashes much like the phoenix and spread its beautiful wings and fly as it usually does, you know?
I do think the script now is going to be different. You know, it's going to be something Rob's going to have to scratch his head and work around because there's going to be less actors. I feel like the first script was actually really good. This one's going to be difficult because there's even less actors. You know, it feels like Ready to Stumble is falling away. So Rob has to now do something different with the script. And, you know, when I read the new edits that are put in, I'm kind of skeptical because I'm like, and I feel bad for Rob because I feel like what we had could have really gone somewhere. You know, there was different actors, there was different intentions, and now it has to become a bit more of a screwball comedy idea because we have less actors and we have to poke fun at that, or we have to find ways to work around having less actors. That's what Rob's going to have to do, and I kind of feel like it's forcing even more creativity out of Rob, so I hope that he comes up with something to make these new re-edits work just as well.
It's too bad we never got to finish the version of the movie that Rob originally wanted to make, because there were some good ideas in there. It would have been interesting to play kind of a fictional version of myself, and it, from a production standpoint, certainly would have been better than The Dark Knight Stumbles. Low bar, I know, but still, it would have been. Unfortunately, it was not to be, and what can you do?
I hope that this project comes out in some form. And you know, I'm supporting Rob all the way. But yeah, it's something that I don't think that I can really, because of just how long it's gone on for and how it has just been hurdle after hurdle after hurdle, and each one is like bigger than the last. And you know, we've lost quite a few sort of like, you know, bigger players along the way for us.
Rob then spoke about the fact that he was now going to shoot the entire movie by himself. You know, no outside interference, no other people joining the production, just him, his camera, his microphone, and his costumes. And he was going to shoot the whole movie playing every single character, or almost every single character.
How do you make an hour-and-a-half movie about a horde of superheroes entirely on your own? I guess I'm going to find out.
Neurodivergent, you need a sense of urgency. I put it in place that if I don't get this film finished by the 10-year anniversary, which is September the 2nd, 2025, it's not getting made.
Rob has set himself a target. It has to come out in a year. I don't know how I feel about that, I'll be honest, because, you know, I've always said to Rob, and this is probably, you might not even want to include this is me saying something genuine to Rob as a friend. I feel like he imposes standards on himself, or limits, or things he has to do that he doesn't have to, in my opinion. Like, he could, but I guess he's sick of the fact that this film won't get made, so he's just like, I'm just going to make it. But do you need that time, that deadline? I don't know.
Doesn't seem possible. I will make it possible.
I thought was very ambitious, because I thought particularly the fact that he was giving himself only a year to do this so that it could coincide with the 10-year anniversary of the first film was, I thought, a really bold and really ambitious project. And I did wonder to myself at first, like, has he kind of overstepped his reach, if that makes sense, his ambitions? But then I remembered the fact that Rob is one of the most hard-working people I think I've ever met. Like, if he is committed to something, he will see it through to the end, even if it kills him. And, you know, obviously I hope that it doesn't kill him, but, you know, seeing that drive and that passion to make something that's clearly very personal to him, even if it is like a silly comedy about superheroes made on the budget of a potato, like, it's clearly something that really resonates with him. And like, when it comes to making a film, that's all you can really ask for, is someone who has an idea, has a drive, and has a passion. There really is nothing better than that. And if he still wants any input from me, I'm more than happy to speak with him. My DMs are always open. And I can't really say more than wish him the best of luck.
I really do hope that Ben does come back to the project in some capacity, because I really enjoyed working underneath him. He really knew what he was doing. Like, he really pushed, because he understood that he had to have all this done in a day. So he really pushed, but he was great at kind of not pushing too far and working with you. And I really liked working with him. I thought he was a really nice guy who had a passion for the project. I really hope that he can come back to it in some capacity, just to do maybe just some direction on it.
Right now, there really isn't much I feel that I can do to help, which I didn't want to say, and that's why I've sort of, clung on for as long as I have. But I feel like I'm still here willing to offer like my services and everything like that, and just help out. But I don't know if I'm talking to an audience now, if I'm talking directly to you, Rob. But yeah, it has been a great ride, and I am still here. And I am like, if in the future, like something gets rolling to a point where it is easier and is a proper like commit to a date kind of thing, and like everything is sorted, and it's literally just here's a script, annotate it, prepare, your shot lists, your blah, 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 your this, your that, get everything ready.
You guys know I've got a lot of self-esteem issues, but one thing I'm very proud of about myself is my work ethic, determination and stubbornness. If people tell me I can't do something, you bet your ass I'm going to do it anyway.
At that point, it gave me the kick I needed. I went back to the drawing board and I started writing a script. A new script that I can film with myself with just a select few characters.
People think I can't make this movie. I'm going to make this fucking movie.
Took just over a month, but I got it. The script I'm really, really proud of.
So, we are 2 days into this year-long challenge. Can I make a movie in a year from scratch? Excluding the footage we've already filmed that I'm hoping to incorporate into it. I've got about a quarter of the screenplay done. I'm setting aside a weekend or a day at the weekend coming up to lock myself in there like I did before and come out with a full screenplay. I've made some calls about potential cameos, fleshing out the screenplay, trying to figure out how certain characters could be portrayed by me realistically without ruining the entire tone of what I want to go for. There's certain scenes that do need to be serious, and I'm just a bit concerned how that tone will hold up being played all by the same person at the same time. But I have a vision in my head, and truth be told, if I do manage to finish this within a year and it looks like arse, I don't even think I'll put it out. So that's the next part of the challenge.
My partner is working as the project manager because she's very good at organising. So we sat down, she scheduled in all of the filming dates for the next year to keep me on track. She's going to be behind the camera, I'm directing.
Okay, so we are currently in Derby, and as you can see, we've got the dog out for a lovely naturistic walk. We're locating the Anchor Church caves that I'm going to hopefully use as a stand-in for the Bat Cave. Ooh. Oh, it's the Bat Cave. Oh, how sick would this look? Just have like a silhouette of Batman in one of the windows. Ah. Oh. So this is Batman's cave. Not a lot of furniture. This looks sick. I think with certain camera angles we can make it look huge, like Ben did that with the last cave. Okay, well, I got severe writer's block during the writing process, but a few days ago I finished a draft of the screenplay. There's a few things I need to tweak in the third act, the big climax, but yeah, I've got a draft done. It took, what, just over a month to come up with a new screenplay. The countdown continues. I think that the next filming day is actually going to be very soon. I'm planning to shoot a very specific scene in which one of my characters gets captured. I'm going to aim to shoot that next week.
Being able to get back involved with this new project is something I'm very excited for. I can't wait for everybody to see it. And hey, Rob, thanks again for having us involved. I can't wait to see what everybody else is going to enjoy with Bane. We're going to have some fun.
But I will say, I'm now putting my own money into this project. But if you did want to donate any amount to the production, the details are on the screen. They're going to be in the description. You will be credited as an executive producer. You will get an early access to the movie. It would really help a lot. This has been 9 years of my life trying to get this project made. It hurts that it seems not a lot of people actually care. Fuck it. I care. There will actually be an opportunity for some of you to be involved in the movie and appear in it, whether it be virtually or in person. Both are available. Those details will be announced on the channel a bit closer to the time. At the minute, filming dates are here. That's when I plan on shooting this movie. All the way around the country, not just in Northampton where I live. There's various places we're travelling to film these things.
Maybe I don't need anyone. Everyone who has attempted to help has walked out and left me. So, guess it's all on me. I'm gonna make this fucking movie.
So if you're watching this, it's a miracle that Ready to Stumble actually fucking got made.